Om Shri Sai Ram. I welcome you back for the afternoon session as part of the one-day national workshop on Indian financial systems, prospects and challenges. We had a wonderful morning session filled with a lot of learning and insights. The morning session started with Venkat Bhargav Sridhara sir, where he spoke about the recent developments in the Indian financial system, giving us different perspectives through statistics and interactive charts covering the major sectors, and at the end, emphasizing on the Indian financial system to be fit for purpose on the road towards economic development. This was then followed by an engaging talk by Sanjay Sahni sir, who spoke on the ethics in the world of finance, which is the need of the hour, and emphasized on its necessity and contemporariness by incorporating modern case studies, teachings from our rich Indian culture and heritage, and messages from our beloved Bhagwan. Now, we will have the third specially invited lecture by S.K. Rajshekhar sir, a senior portfolio manager, the Reserve Bank of India, Mumbai. A native of Karaikudi in Tamil Nadu, Shri Rajshekhar serves in the Department of External Investments and Operations, where his role is that of a portfolio manager. Sir holds a B.Tech degree in Information Technology and a Master's in Banking and Finance and a Financial Risk Manager certification from the Global Association of Risk Professionals, GARP. He has been associated with banking since 2011, starting his career as an officer with the Bank of India. At RBI, he initially worked in the Foreign Exchange Department, overseeing regulations related to foreign direct investment and remittances, before moving to his current role in the Department of External Investments and Operations. Sir will be speaking to us on the Indian financial markets. I now invite Shri Rajshekhar sir to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege, rather I should say I am blessed to be a part of this modern Gurukul and part of this one-day national workshop on Indian financial system, challenges and prospects. And today's my topic is around RBI and its operations in financial markets, where I will cover about the RBI operations and how it is going to impact the financial markets. So my objective for today's session is twofold. First, I will help you to understand the concepts so that you can appreciate whenever there is a news about RBI or any policy event, you can understand it better. Second, my objective is to make you curious. Means already I know that you are curious. I wanted you to maintain that curiosity for this session and also after this session. So how we are going to proceed about this? So this is my agenda. I will start with Indian financial markets. Then I will cover three important markets like money market, GSEC market, Forex market, where RBI has a direct role. Then we will have a conclusion. So I understand that on a Saturday, after a very good lunch, listening to a financial market and a technical topic will be very challenging. So to make it interesting and engaging, I have kept some quizzes and some funny, curious messages I will give you. So let's get started. Oh, first itself it's a quiz. So fast fingers first. Who knows the answer for this? Which of the following is not a function of a financial market? Come on, who knows? Not a function, not a function. Correct. So maximizing investor wealth is not a part of financial market. Explanation is that price discovery in financial markets, buyers and sellers meet and they will agree on the price. So that is price discovery, it's there. And financial markets always provide liquidity. And risk transmission. For any market, there should be a hedging instrument. For example, derivatives are primarily used as a hedge instrument. So risk transmission is also there. Maximizing investor wealth. It is not a direct function of financial market, but market provides you an opportunity. So in today's session, I will tell you how it operates so that you can understand where are the opportunities to maximize your wealth. So starting with, what is a financial market? Like any other market, for example, like a vegetable market or a flower market, buyers and sellers meet. There the assets are like vegetables or flowers. Here the assets are financial assets. And what is the other differentiation? I mean, even banking is also like that, where you will go and deposit and someone will come and take the loan. The difference is the intermediation. In financial markets, it is direct intermediation, whereas in banking, you will go and deposit and banks will decide to whom they have to give the loan. It is indirect intermediation. And like in the first session, Venkat has pointed out that primarily we are banking mode, banking-based financial market. Banking-based intermediation happens here. So yes, it's a financial market. Buyers and sellers will meet. So what is the role of RBI here? Means anyway, seller will come, buyer will come, we'll agree upon the price and they will decide. So what is the role of RBI in this? RBI is the regulator for money market, GSEC, Forex, and certain part of corporate bond market and the related derivatives. Derivatives related to all the markets. For example, GSEC, you have interest rate futures, interest rate swaps. For Forex also you have futures. These are areas where RBI has direct, like I said earlier. Equity, commodities, or other financial market areas where we have not much direct role. So what are the dual roles? Developmental. RBI ensures the developmental role by ensuring that the market growth is orderly, which it ensures there is a conducive environment for innovation as well as stability. On the regulatory side, it gives prudential regulation so that integrity is maintained. What is prudential? For a simple example, like Sanjay sir pointed out that Paytm opened like n number of accounts without KYC. Like sir was saying that in a 10 square feet, 10,000 accounts are opened. One of the prudential regulation is that KYC. Like that for financial markets, RBI gives the regulation, what to be done. So now we have understood the rules. So what should be the principle? There should be a principle, means how to develop this market. So first, as a growing economy, our financial needs are increasing. So correspondingly, the financial market should have products to help the country to grow. So our first principle to have widen the menu of financial instruments. Second, gradual product introduction, means it cannot go and say today this product is introduced, tomorrow it is shut. Means it will go gradual, liberal manner, calibrated approach. Second, for any financial markets, infrastructure is must. Means either it is for clearing or settling or for reporting, you need an enhanced market infrastructure. So RBI ensures there is a sufficient market infrastructure for the financial market to thrive. And in financial markets, it is not only the participants, not only the regulator. There are certain other key representative bodies. First is FEDI, that is Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India, FIMDA, Fixed Income Money Market Derivatives Association, and Primary Dealers Association of India. These are self-regulated bodies. Means now we are not like, RBI is not like a, financial market is not like a school where RBI goes and say that you do this, you don't. We will leave it to them. They will self-regulate, and in case of any dispute, they will rectify among themselves. So these are the bodies that are doing that. And last one is that FIBL, means Financial Benchmarks India Private Limited. It is as a single independent benchmark provider. There is a connection with this and with maybe size test. You may be knowing Vijay Bhaskar sir, our ex-ED, who was in your trust also. Based on his committee recommendations, this was set up. And that time the background was like LIBOR scandal was happening and everyone was looking after which should be the benchmark. At that time, it was established. So I wanted to point out that you should be proud of that. Your alumni actually and the trustee member established this. So like I said that now we have covered financial market. Now we will move into the money market part. What is money market? The main differentiation is that this is the market for short-term funds. Here, financial instruments which are traded have maturities ranging from overnight to 1 year. And that major feature is that it is highly liquid. Again, coming back to Sanjay sir's point that call money market where around 40,000 crores are traded in a day. Means it should be liquid enough so that only it can trade. Otherwise, there will be some discrepancy, some anomaly or arbitrage in the system. It is so liquid so that it happens in a single day. Some of the examples are call money, which is like uncollateralized overnight, this one. And there is repo. Repo, just I want to highlight it. Repo is from the market perspective. Suppose RBI says repo means a market maker, market participant will come to RBI, give his securities, take back money. And on the end of the day, they will return that money and take back the security. That is this repo market. T-bills is like any maturity between 0 to 1 year. That is, instruments are called T-bills and it is issued by usually sovereigns. So what is the function of a money market? Like I said, it equilibrates the demand and supply. One financial instrument is 40,000 crores traded in a market means not all are having surplus, all are having deficit. One will be having deficit, one will be having supply. They will meet and this demand and supply is met in the money market segment. And since it is agreed upon a price, it happens in a clearing price. What is the role of central bank here? Central bank, maybe you may be knowing that RBI's objective is to maintain price stability while keeping the growth in mind. So how it achieves, it will change the inflation rate, which will reflect first in the money market segment. First means anywhere all over the world, it is the first money market segment, it gets impacted, then as a ripple effect, it goes into the long end segment, means whatever, maybe your housing loan also if you're taking, it is passed through this route of money market. And central banks here, how it will alter system liquidity. Liquidity I have not defined, I will come to the next slide, please park it that way. How it alters is that it alters the volume, how much liquidity in the system and what is the rate for that liquidity should be provided. That is the role of central bank here. So since I said liquidity, let's go on find what is liquidity. Liquidity is the word which is commonly used in the financial market, which is means in many ways it is used but not properly defined. So let's first understand that part. Funding liquidity. Funding liquidity is nothing but ability when a due comes, it has to be met. For example, if you are going to a bank saying that give me back my deposit. The bank has to ability to give you the money. That is the funding liquidity, able to fund you. Our keyword is that ability. Market liquidity. It is the ease of converting. Means suppose bank doesn't have a liquid cash. It may be have an asset of say government bonds or say for a gold. How fast it can convert that into cash and give it to you. Maybe real estate is not so liquid because you cannot go immediately into the market and you can go immediately into the market and sell. But one of the criteria is that it should not affect the price. In real estate, if you go and sell immediately, people will understand there is an urgent need for you and they will not give what price you are expected. It is called as fire sale. And how we come to measure that liquidity, that market liquidity is not there, it is the bid-ask ratio. Market is asking, market is bidding, and the how much frequency it is getting traded. Then system liquidity, central bank liquidity. This is the liquidity we are going to talk about for the next 3-4 slides. Please pay attention on that. So, you know, RBI enforces CRR to be kept. You may be knowing that cash reserve ratio of 4.5% banks to be kept. How that bank will keep? Bank will keep this as a cash in their account with RBI. This is called as reserves, that's all. Now, next level. If you transact, say for example, I have an account with State Bank and sir having account with HDFC Bank. If I wanted to transfer account, bank will not withdraw cash from my and go on to deposit in HDFC Bank. It all happens in the reserves. In RBI, HDFC Bank will be there, accounts will be there, State Bank's account will be there, they will transfer there. So this is the how reserves are moved and how the transactions are settled. This is just one transaction. At the end of the day, there are netting happens, means there will be multiple transactions happening, all will be netted at central bank level and this is a past. And when a liquidity deficit occurs, means if not, there is not enough reserves, either not to meet CRR or for finalizing the transaction, then RBI has to inject that liquidity. We will see in the next slides. In system liquidity, there are two types. Transient, which is just temporary, or durable, which is permanent. When will this transient liquidity occurs? It happens when government cash balances changes. Government also maintains an account with RBI. For example, today it is a tax collection date. What will happen? People will go to the bank, withdraw from their account, deposit with the government. If we are withdrawing from bank means what? Reserves is coming down. And it is going into the government bank balances, which is not counted as reserves. So reserves is coming down. So after tax collection dates, what happens? Government collected the tax, it has to spend. It will put into some of the development projects. Again, the money comes in through the banking system, so reserves are backed into the system. So for a short period of time, there is a liquidity mismatch that is called as transient or frictional liquidity, means it's temporary. Durable liquidity means any permanent changes occurs. For example, currency in circulation. You might have known demonetization. Demonetization time, what happened? Everyone deposited that money with the bank. And that money stayed in the bank. That means reserves have increased. But it is not going to come out immediately. There will be a sustainable, some amount of time, it will be in the bank itself. So the liquidity in the system has increased. That is, the reserves have increased in the system. That we called as durable liquidity. And RBI has instruments to settle that liquidity. Means, for example, it is a sterilized, unsterilized operations we call. We call as, suppose there is a foreign direct investment coming into India. What does that mean? Suppose $1 million is coming into India. 1 million will hit Indian market. Banks will purchase that USD and release INR into the system. So this INR system into the system increases the liquidity. So what RBI will do? RBI will go and sell some bonds. If we are selling the bonds means what? That liquidity, by purchasing USD, they have released INR. That INR will be used to purchase that bond. So liquidity is sterilized. Unsterilized means if not doing that operation of bond selling. Are you clear with this concept of all this liquidity? So it's time to test that. Read that and find. Scenario 1, a real estate developer needs to quickly secure funds to cover urgent construction expenses. The developer decides to sell a piece of land, but is struggling to access the necessary cash on time due to delays in the sale process and difficulty in finding a buyer. Second part also, go through that, and just anyone knows the answer, please raise. Option A. Any other opposite views, different views? All agreeing with A? It's A. Because funding liquidity means cash should be quickly met, cash needs. Second, he was converting that asset, but it is affecting the price. So it is market liquidity. So now coming back to again the concept. What liquidity management involves? Like I said, bank have to maintain reserves. They have to add that to the 4.5% of cash reserve ratio. And daily transaction happens. Because of these transactions, if reserves come down, RBI's role is to affect the, means change the liquidity. Means if it's deficient, we have to push the liquidity or suck out the liquidity. And this also, it's just, this slide is like just a quick recap of previous whatever we have said. And how we transmit to the system, first money market rate is got hit, then it is transmitted to that. And liquidity must be in the system for stability. Otherwise, if bank doesn't have liquidity, it will not function. Means it will not perform its function of giving loans. Means it will say that I don't have liquidity. So why liquidity is important? First, they have to comply with the RBI guideline of CRR ratio, that is one. Then objective of monetary policy. Monetary policy, liquidity management is an operating procedure through which the objectives of monetary policies are fulfilled. Means example, as a policy rate, RBI sets repo rate, say 6.5. How it is achieved? How that 6.5 is achieved? That is through the money market segment only. So now we will see how RBI manages the liquidity. For that, first you have to understand what are the factors which are affecting the liquidity, and you have to forecast what is the means because of this incident, whether liquidity will come down or go up, and what there should be a framework for to act upon the data you have. So first, factors affecting the liquidity. First, it can be on based of central bank auctions. Reserve requirement. You know, reserve requirement is 4.5. Anyone knows how much in rupee terms that requirement? Means this is just a part of, I said that I want to maintain the curiosity, so I'm just asking. So I will tell that 4.5 translates around 9 lakh crores in the system. But banks usually maintain 10 lakh crores. Now for you to maintain the curiosity outside this, just find how much is the reserve requirement as a percentage of GDP. Maybe sir, I will take the answers from you where how students have given that. Next, liquidity adjustment facility. This is our main function. Means this is just in but repo, reverse repo. Repo is when liquidity is not there, through repo, RBI injects liquidity. Banks come, borrows from money from us by giving the security and gives back, means on a later date. Reverse is the reverse repo. We have to suck out the liquidity. Next is open market operations. Go back to that example of, say, for FDI hitting, and we have selling means to this one. Open market is means openly we are going and selling in the market or buying from the market the government securities. Those are open market operations. Then there are autonomous factors like currency in circulation. There is a seasonal factor in India. Maybe second half of every year, there is the circulation in currency usually picks up. It may be because of monsoon or the factors, but currency in circulation means people prefer to have cash. If people prefer to have cash, there is a liquidity drain, means reserves in the system. Means, for example, it's just I have to transfer money. I will transfer account to account. It is in the system itself. It will go from this state bank account to HDFC account. But the account holder in HDFC withdraws this fund from through ATM. Then it goes out of the system. If cash comes out, then in system the reserves are coming out. Then government bank balance means if tax collection happens, it will move money from bank account to everyone's bank account to government balance. Change in CRR due to NDTL is net demand time and liabilities. If banks that one changes, CRR changes. It is nothing but how much liabilities. Here liabilities are nothing but your short-term deposits, your demand deposits minus assets in the system. If that changes, reserves are changed. Then forex intervention. Forex intervention happens either to smoothen the liquidity, I mean smoothen the volatility, everything that we will see separate in forex market. So how assessment is happening? There is a department dedicated to that. It is called as Financial Markets Operations Department. There we have a liquidity desk. Their job is to daily calculate and monitor this liquidity. And in medium term, it is done with some other departments that we will see in the later slides, how that is being done. So it's the calculation, it's just the calculation. Means how, what? System liquidity. System liquidity means nothing but how much borrowing happened under LAF. LAF is now, what is that? Repo, reverse repo. Borrowing happened under that minus excess reserves maintained. How that LAF is calculated? It is the total of all repo. Repo means what? Bank is borrowing. How much bank borrowed minus reverse repo. How much bank deposited. LAF is nothing but how much bank borrowed under that scheme, how much it deposited. MSF and all I will cover. Excess reserve is that banks, I said that 9 lakh crores is the maintained, but banks maintain 10 lakh because of some uncertainty. That we will minus. So if you see the example, here in total repo, banks have borrowed 1,000 and in reverse repo, they have deposited 2,000. So the net borrowing is minus 1,000. Actual reserves to be maintained banks is 2,000 and required reserves is only 1,500. So excess reserves of 500 is there. So this is the, for system liquidity, this is the difference of that LAF, that is this 1,000 and this 500. So minus 1,500. And durable liquidity, that I said, durable liquidity also we have to calculate. As a simple derived equation for durable liquidity, we have to minus the government bank balances. Because government balances, if we moved out, it is called as durable liquidity. So if you see, if any positive figure, it is shown here, it is called as system is in deficit. Means the demand for, if it is in positive, the demand for reserves is positive. They need liquidity. Means is it confusing or, okay, it's okay. So now let's do this exercise. In Forex operation, if RBI buys USD, sells INR, what will happen to the reserves? I will tell you. Dollar has come, bank buys dollar, means RBI buys dollar from banks and gives back the INR to the commercial banks. For that, what will happen? Reserves will impact. So let's try the second. Government cash balance, if it decreases, correct? Currency in circulation increases. Correct. Repo decreasing. Decrease. Because banks are not borrowing. Reverse repo, opposite of that only directly. OMO. RBI goes and purchases government bonds from banks. Decrease. How? Increase. Means RBI asks the bank, you give the bond, what you are holding. So they will give the bond. RBI in return, what will give? INR. So if INR is that, it is increasing. CRRR. Increase means decrease, because CRR we just, it is just the excess reserves maintained. CRR is a mandatory reserve. You have to maintain. So if CRR increases, this will decrease because money has to move from that to mandatory reserve. Yes. So this is an important area. Means this is the core of that framework. Worldwide, there are two types of liquidity management framework. One is corridor system, another one is floor system. First we will see what is this, then I will check what RBI follows. In corridor system, there is a deposit facility. It is where banks will come and park their money with the central bank. It is that at that rate. In lending facility, it is at the rate banks come to central banks and borrow liquidity. If the reserves in the system are not neither surplus nor deficit, it will be maintained within this corridor. In floor system, here reserves are excess. Anyone knows which banks have excess reserves? And it's all major developed nations like US, Europe, all are having excess reserves. Because what happened? During GFC, there is no demand from the market. So what these banks did is, they call it as quantitative easing. Media call it as printing of money. They went, central banks don't have the money. They go into the market, buy all the bonds. How they bond? That is called as printing of money, but it is just loosely worded term, but I'm using that for simplicity. So they bought all the bonds from the public, released the reserves. For example, for US, the reserves in the system became 7 trillion. If reserves are so much, why the banks will come and borrow at the lending facility which the central bank provides? If they themselves have so much liquidity, means from all banks, the central bank have bought that securities and released the reserves. So why they should go into the market? So the deposit facility becomes the policy rate here. So any guesses which one RBI follows? It's the corridor system. Here our liquidity is neither surplus nor deficit. We try to maintain between this. Between this, it is between the banks. Means some bank may be having a reserve surplus, some may be having reserve deficit. They trade among themselves so that the rate stays within this corridor. If, for example, I am a bank, I am having excess reserve. So I will go and deposit with RBI. Now let me tell you that policy rate is now RBI is 6.5, that is the center. And the top, if you want to borrow liquidity from central bank, it is 6.75. And deposit facility, if I want to deposit, it is 6.25. So if I have excess deposit, I will go and deposit with RBI at 6.25. So next, for example, Sanjay sir is having a bank which is having shortage of liquidity. He has to go and borrow from RBI at 675. But if we agree among themselves to trade at say 640, it is win-win for me, win-win for them. So trade there. So our objective is that interbank trading should be effective, and they themselves, this is market oriented. So trade between that so that it will be win for me, and because of this trading, monetary policy transmission also will be effective. So it trades within that corridor. That is the money market segment, which we call it as weighted average call rate. It is not one trade. There will be many trading happens between all banks. All will be weighted, and average rate is taken as weighted average call rate. So in RBI terms, in Indian parlance, that top is that marginal standing facility, and the bottom is the deposit facility. This is just an additional info. Previously, SDF was not there. Standing deposit facility was not there. It is fixed date reverse repo. Like repo, you will be knowing that in reverse repo, RBI has to give, means if you are coming and deposit money with RBI, RBI has to give security. But RBI doesn't have that much security. And if central bank, why you want to take a collateral from a central bank? So that it replaced and SDF came. SDF is an uncollateralized deposit facility. Means you park money with RBI, RBI will not give collateral, but you come to RBI to raise cash, you have to give security. That is marginal lending, marginal standing facility. These are the instruments we are using. For example, just first we will finish the durable liquidity. In durable liquidity, like I said, that OMO operations, purchase and sale of foreign government securities, is one way we can do that. But what will happen if RBI goes into the market and purchases all the security? Price of the securities will go up, yield will come down, means it will affect the yield curve. So that is the issue there. In FX, what will happen? Suppose I have to sell, RBI has to sell FX to inject liquidity, and RBI doesn't have FX reserves, what will happen? That is an issue. Because of that only, long-term repo has been introduced recently, where you can borrow or park your money for a longer tenor. Because durable liquidity is nothing but it is more than a certain period, means the policy change will be in the system for more than a system. So you need instruments which will solve the durable liquidity. And like for the short-term liquidity, you have standing facility. Standing facility is nothing but RBI stands ready for you to give the facility. In the name itself, you can find marginal standing facility, standing deposit facility, means RBI stands ready for you. And these are standing facility. FX swaps, discretionary, based on the policy prerogative, we use that. And daily we announce, means in every Friday we announce, we will go into the system, check what is the system requirement, whether system is in deficit mode, or if it is in deficit mode, what we will do is repo operation we will conduct. If it is in surplus, we will conduct a reverse repo operation. So current liquidity management, who are the participants? We have commercial banks, primary dealers, and some select RRBs and cooperative banks. Like I said, for collateral, GSECs can be given, state government securities can be given, T-bills can be given, but for SDF, collateral is not there because RBI is taking the money from you. And value of collateral, whatever collateral you are giving, it is based on the market value. Suppose today you give a security whose market value is 100. Tomorrow interest rate goes up. The value of the security comes down. So accordingly, you have to top up that securities. And it is based on the maturity also. Short-term bonds have not much fluctuation, whereas interest rate movements have higher fluctuation in long-term bonds, so that this percentage is given. Just are facts and theories, means we will not concentrate much there. And security substitution also allowed, means you have given a security, but that security you need for some other purposes, so you can change the security. And re-repo is also permitted, means if you have taken a security, you can re-repo it to someone and do that. So that's all with money market segment. And any other points here you want to discuss in money market? Any other doubts you have? Yes. What is the? Before SDF, it is the reverse repo. In what happens reverse repo, you will park the money with RBI, RBI gives the security. Means RBI first of all no need to give the security. And why you want to calculate the market value on the security which is given. So it is just for that purposes only given. And this is STL rated, and rated is that we have told that state governments, you get it rated, your margin will be less. Means people, if margin is less for that, means it is nothing but haircut in that security. So people will go and buy that securities. Means it can be used for multiple purposes. So for a rated security, that it is less, little bit less than the unrated securities. So one question from, yes. SLR is that you can maintain that, means now SLR is 18%. In that 18% means you can buy government securities for that 18%, keep it. You will be rewarded, means you will be earned on that respect. But it is not in the system. It will not come into the system. I will go and buy the security and just report it to RBI, say for 18% I have equivalent securities there, liquid security, that's all.
And also the corridor system, basically the RBI uses it for setting a proper call market rate, no sir?
Yes.
Because it sets the floor and ceiling so that between the banks, interbank rates will be apt.
Yes, means it's nothing but that they can come to RBI, but if you are getting a better rate in the market, you can go there, and RBI also wants that only. Those are regulatory areas, there we are not going, means those are, FEMA is just a regulation how you, means in 3 ways foreign funds can come. You can either borrow, if you borrow it is a loan or a debt, that is called external commercial borrowing. Separate set of regulations. FDI means investments coming in, FPI means just for curiosity purpose I will tell you. What is the difference between FDI and FPI? That could be one. Main point is that in FDI the ownership is there. They will commit, means they will have a ownership in that. In FPI it is not ownership, like that only. So just one more point, means another question for you to go and research. In CRR, India doesn't remunerate you, means banks are maintaining 4.5% of their NDTL with RBI. It is not remunerated. Whereas in other countries it is remunerated. It's just a fact I am giving that. For example, UK, any banks maintaining a compulsory reserves, it is remunerated. Means bank has to pay. Because of this, there is an issue. Because this CRR came when they have did QE. Bank did QE. QE means what? They have given you the reserves, and banks are now earning free money on the reserves. This is one of the debatable topic in UK, where one of the political agenda fought was why we have to pay interest on the CRR, means their mandatory reserves. So quickly, now we are going into government securities market. Maybe Olivia sir maybe can answer on this. So sir, please. So which could be which? Means where do you call treasuries? In which country we call it as treasuries? Correct. Next. Bunds. Germany. Gilts. Correct. Votes. It is ours. So next, another question for you is that in US, bonds are called as notes as well as bonds. Which are called as notes, which are called as bonds? Please have a look after this session. This is also another. You might have heard bull steepening, bear steepening, bull flattening, bear flattening. What is that? How you will identify that? Means how you will put it in words? Means, I will just explain. Means, bonds are denominated in yields, and bull, bear is associated with the prices. When yield goes up, what will happen for the prices? When yield goes up, prices come down. It is bear. When yields go down, prices goes up. It is bull. And steepening, flattening is nothing but short and long and difference, how it is going. So quickly tell. In the first segment, yields are going up. So it is bear or bull? Bear. And only front end is going, long end is staying there. What is that? Flattening or steepening? Flattening, correct. Like that. Second one, long end is coming down. It means bull, and long end is coming, it's a bull, and the difference is from the short and the long end is coming down. So bull flag. You want to try that or we will go forward, means because of timing. So another tip I will give you. Means I was in Mumbai, daily I used to commute through the electric train to my office. There were people sitting near me and they will be reading all, means doing all stock market stuff. One gentleman was sitting near me and he was asking, why bear market is called as bear market and bull market is called bull market. I was surprised. What is this? This only I learned. Why bull market should not be called as tiger market and bear is, why the significance of bull and bear there? Any? Yes, that's correct. Bull charges and hits you like this. So it's up. Bear hits you like this. So I don't know this. Means I was following markets for a long time. But this comes from a gentleman who is sitting near me in train. That is, this is the objective for me also. You keep this curiosity. If every word you are reading means understand why it is kept like this. Just that thing. So G6. G6, it is called as in various names in various places. That's we have read. And what is the importance? Benchmark for other interest rates. It means all other pricing of corporate bonds. Say, for example, today Reliance comes and issues a bond. How it will price its bond? It will price for government security plus the spread, because government security have no default, means it is having sovereign guarantee. Along with that, there will be a credit build up. So it will be act as a benchmark. And it is a risk free, because I said government banking. Monetary policy implementation also happens because OMO markets are, OMO operations are conducted through GSEC market. And it is liquid and it attracts foreign investment also, so that your borrowing is very less. Just quickly go around the recent developments. FPIs can, means foreign investment come into bond markets through 3 different ways. All these are all factual only, just it all good to know. Maybe you can go and read later. It's medium term framework, voluntary retention route, means in medium term framework you will have some guidelines like only short term bonds, only this much percentage of bonds you can buy, means foreigners. In voluntary retention route, if you are going to retain that bond for 3 years, there is no restriction. Means there will be a clause how much you are going to commit in money terms, in time terms. And fully accessible route means it is fully accessible. Means certain securities are identified as fully accessible. There is no questions asked. You can come invest. Means all are for foreign investment. Next, retail participant. Morning, Venkat is also speaking about the retail direct scheme. So that was opened up for retail public. If you are interested, please go and open account. You can buy, dipping your feet only, you will come to learn some things. Means don't commit big money into that. Just go and open an account, see how it is traded, how the announcement comes. Every Wednesday, you will come to see there are T-bill auctions and there are bond auctions from states, even sovereign gold bonds you can purchase through this account. Anyone has that account, Retail Direct? Just go and check today that. Next, recently JPM announced that we are including India in our bond index. That will bring about estimated amount is 20 to 25 billion. It starts from June this year, 24 to March 25 next year. Every month 1% is added. So why this should, means index inclusion should bring? Because worldwide there are some passive investors. They will not do the research. They will go and see the index and buy it. For example, for our equity market, for simplicity purpose, if you don't know what to buy, means which company to buy, you directly go and invest in the index. Like that, in index, people will go and buy the index instead of picking bonds, picking which country. So that is the latest development there. Previously, we have said there are different departments playing a role in GSEC market. First is FMOD, which has the liquidity desk, I said. They do the buying, selling of foreign exchange, government securities. So they do this. Internal debt management department. This department governs the retail direct platform, and all the government debts, issuances, calendar, everything is managed by this department. And there is financial markets regulatory department, which gives the regulation, means that VRR, MTF, everything comes from FMRD. Then DPSS, which is the payments, settlement and systems, which governs about the central counterparty, your infrastructure for trading, how it should be traded, how it should be settled and reported. Then DOR, Department of Regulation, which gives regulation to the banks. This much margin you have to maintain. This is the open net, open position you can carry. These are the department's function. Now come back to that OMO part. There are two OMOs, OMO, special OMO. In OMO, RBI will come into the market, either buys security. If it buys security, it injects liquidity. If it sells security, it takes INR, withdraws the liquidity. And what will be the impact of OMO? One is for liquidity, but it comes at the cost of affecting the yields. If you buy a bond, if RBI buys the bond, what will happen to the yield? It will go up or it will go down. Decrease, because RBI comes and buys, price goes up, yield comes down. Means if demand is more, price goes up. That is the one. And auctions are means done through multiple auction as well as basket. If we have basket like 0 to 3 security, 3-year security, 3 to 5-year security, like that it can happen. Special OMO, it is like buying and selling at the same time. We will go and sell in the short end bonds, means maturity like say example 1 year, and we will go and buy in the long end. Why is that so? Because you want to maintain that yield curve, means push the demand. Your housing loan rates are like 10-year rates like that, means 10-year segment. It will be benchmarked to that segment. So if RBI goes and buys in the 10-year segment, yields will on that segment will come down, whereas here it will go up. This is liquidity neutral, because same amount you are buying, same amount you are selling. So it is not, it is agnostic to the liquidity. Means in system, liquidity is not changing. But at the same time, you are stimulating the economy through this. Means in Western world, this is called as operation twist. Now test this. You have seen bull flattening, bear flattening. If buying in one end means buying in the long end, selling in the short end, what this is called as? Anyone come across this? It is called as twist steepening. Means we are twisting the yield curve. Here we are selling. Here we are buying. Means it can be twist steepening also, it can be twist flattening also. It is twist, just wanted to highlight bull bear, and there is twist also. And these are the outstanding, means how much we have done through these years. Everyone been doing 2020 COVID times, we borrowed, means we bought more from the market to inject liquidity. For RBI, currency in circulation is a liability. And assets are, if RBI holds a government bond, it is an asset for me. So if RBI buys a government security, what will happen from the market? It's intuitively, what do you think? Means from asset side, what will happen? See that government securities, previously it is 50. Now if I am buying 20 rupees worth government securities from the market, my assets will increase. If I increase, means if I buy the bond, I have to give INR to the bank. I will release the INR. That INR will sit where? In bank's deposit. That is the reserves. Reserves is going up. Equivalent. Previously it was 10. Now it is 30. If RBI goes and buys 20 rupees worth of bond, assets of government securities will increase. Bank deposits will that much increase here. So balanced. It is always, it should be balanced. And one interesting factor is there. This just note, previously it is 100, now it has become 120. Now let's see. Special OMO, I said one side it will buy, one side it will sell. Bank deposit will not change because there is no liquidity coming into the system. Short-term securities, 25, I sold short-term, 20 down. Long-term security, 20 increased. I sold here, 20 gone from here to here. Here you see total liability, and this one is not changed. One point I have said, one word is there for this. What is that? Previously I said. No, means liquidity neutral. Here liquidity has not changed because in here changing here only, whereas here it is changing between the assets and liability side. So what are the GSEC operations we have done? One of the highlighting operation is that government securities acquisition program. During that, it is similar to OMO only. OMO is for maintaining the liquidity. Here, to stimulate the economy, RBI came into the market and bought bonds. And during COVID, it bought around 2,20,000 crores worth of securities to that, mainly to assist the economy and evolve the yield curve. Okay, anything on GSEC side? We'll move to Forex side. So, let's see. Let's do the quiz. Anyone knows the answer? USD INR present value is 83.24. If bid is this, what should be the ask? It's right. Always you have to see from the market perspective. Market is bidding. Means market is bidding means you are selling. Ask is market is asking. Means if you want to buy from me, I am asking this much. So this is bid and ask. That is correct. 83.25. And usually ask price is higher than the bid price. Means otherwise you will make profit there only. So coming back to exchange rate, what is exchange rate? It is the country's value in foreign currency terms. For example, $1 is 83 rupees. Means in other currency terms, that is exchange rate. And in a free market economy, it is decided, the rate is decided by the supply and demand. What are the factors influencing the exchange rate? If foreign equity comes into the market, what will happen to rupee? Appreciates, correct. How it appreciate? Because dollar coming in, demand for INR is there. Means foreigner coming in, give me INR, give me INR. Means I am giving dollar, give me INR. Demand for INR is increasing, so strengthen. Similarly, trade. If you are exporting, your trade will be in, means people will have to pay in your currency, means it will appreciate. Similarly, interest rate differential. Interest rate differential is that your country has interest rate of 6%, other country have 4%. So this 2% earning will be adjusted in the currency. Similarly, other macroeconomic like inflation is also there. Too much of inflation, people don't have trust in that economy, the currency will go down. This you can see in some of the like Turkey lira, Argentina peso, all are depreciated because of the trust in their country and the inflation. So what are the theories which determines the exchange rate? Purchase power parity. For example, today I am buying one chapati here for 5 rupees. The same chapati in other currency, means say example in France, it should be 5 rupees. That currency should adjust that. If that is adjusted, it is purchasing power parity. Interest rate differential is that currency rate only I am saying. Means in India 4%, say France it is 2%. The 2 means everyone will come and deposit, put money here only because you are earning money. But when you are taking it back, your currency will depreciate so that the 2% will be adjusted. There should be no arbitrage in this. That is, these theories you just note it down. Go and read about this after the session. So interesting part is that Forex market is a market where it trades 24 hours. And mostly it closes only on Friday, means that is 1:30 night in our time, and it opens on 2:30 next day. And active period is when London opens, because London is the where major of the financial hubs or financial center, means institutions are there. So they trade, most of the active session is there. So presently we are in free float regime, but we have come across through different path. Means from 47 to 91, we are par value system. Means means it is all denominated in gold. Means 4 grains gold, 1 grain gold. Then in 78 there was a peg. Means there is a group of currencies which are maintained. Means some set of currencies there, it is equal, maintained to that. Our currency value is maintained equal to that, and it is fixed. Means RBI comes and announces today INR value is this much. Then later 1992 we came into that regime of free float. Presently we are fully convertible on current account, and capital account we are going, means we are liberalizing slowly, means calibrated approach that we are using. What are the principles we are following in foreign exchange market? RBI intervenes in the market, but there is no specific level or target. Means I want to keep INR at 80, $1 at 80 or $1 at 90. There is no such target for us. Again, one question for you to go and research. One country in Asian region has a level target in currencies. Just go and check that. And orderly conditions. We depend on the capital flow. On capital flow will not come like every month salary type. Means every month this, 1 month it will be lump sum, other month it will not be there. So there will be a volatility To control that volatility, RBI does intervention, and some speculative actions will be there. Like if you have seen maybe USD JPY in the recent JPY currency in the last fortnight, means there are speculators like saying that JPY will not appreciate, means JPY will, interest rate differential between US and Japan was so high, then JPY will always depreciate. But what happened, government intervened and that. To avoid that expectations, also we are intervening in that. Our intervention is that leaning against the wind. Means for example, market is going on selling USD INR, selling USD INR appreciates. We will come and do the opposite. We will have to maintain that. Similarly on the opposite side, means it is leaning against the wind to control that. Otherwise it will uproot that. So what are the instruments we are using? On spot we will do. Spot is always T+2. If we did buy or sell USD INR today, it will immediately impact the system. If I buy, RBI buys USD, INR will come into the system, T+2, it will affect the liquidity. On futures market, it is mainly to control the speculative actions, and it is exchange traded and it is INR settled. On swaps, I will buy USD INR, say 1 year, I will sell back that. Means liquidity will be there for that period only, because it will be reversed on the far leg. Forward also it's like only to affect, means today, say for example, August maturity USD INR contract is 80. Next year August USD INR maturity will be 81. That 1 rupee is the forward premium you are paying. It will affect only that, because you are going and buying or selling in the forward market. Offshore, outside India you will do. Means suppose there is our market closes, INR market closes, and there is an event in say for example US announces a policy. Based on that USD INR will move. To control that also we have done in offshore markets. Another quiz, just quickly go. First scenario, RBI buys US dollars and sells rupee. What will happen to the rupee? Depreciates. RBI raises interest rate. Foreign investment is increased. All company appreciates. Export policy is announced. A lot of exports appreciates. So, just about time. Conclusion is that RBI in recent years have taken so much steps to develop the financial markets, because we are a growing economy and globally connected economy. So, RBI will be doing developing the financial market mainly by, like Sanjay sir said, that trust. For a financial market, trust is the cornerstone, and RBI promotes trust by preventing market abuse, mainly by saying that it is deterring, it is having a regulations which deters market abuse. If you do, you will be penalized, like Paytm, how it has been done. And there is a level playing field kept for everyone in the financial markets. Next, RBI mandates all the institutions to have a fair customer conduct. Means every customer you should treat with fairness. Means since information is not available with them, you should not treat. It should be treated fairly. And there will be disclosures and communication policy which RBI says that you have to communicate clearly what your bank is doing, so that the investors, the beneficiaries are informed about what they are doing. Next is stability. For a growing economy, stability is must. At how it is done, orderly market functioning. For example, for Forex, we intervene. During COVID, GSAP has been done to maintain that. So orderly and strengthening market infrastructure. Means retail indirect is one example where we are allowing people to come and invest. Infrastructure is created so that retail investors also a force there. And innovation, it is must. Means for our 90 years, the tag is like trust, stability, innovation, growth. Here I have put innovation because growth will become only through innovation, because innovation here, we are principle based regulation. Means one point of time we will go and tell the bank, you do this, you don't that. Now we will say principle. This is the principle. You follow whatever you want to do. Don't break this principle. That is, we are saying participant base we are increasing. For example, JPM, index inclusion, foreign investors are coming. Again, retail direct, retail participants are allowed. New products are allowed. There is for FX retail is means allowed now. We are targeting offshore markets also. Gift City, IFSC is one such example. So I think I've covered somewhat what I have known. Any other queries, happy to take. And don't ask the questions which I said for your research purpose. That's all. Any queries, happy to take.
In the part of PDMA, Public Debt Management Act, there is also the paradox where the RBI is supposed to control the inflation, but it is also the banker to the government. So, in terms of holding the securities and other things for the RBI, no, they are you talked about NTMA, National Treasury Management Act, that is 2009, where they wanted So they wanted a separate public debt management office, but still that is not happening because they said that the RBI is supposed to have the inflation stability, but it is also a banker to the government. So government is creating the deficit, and the RBI is doing deficit financing. So why that NTMA Act, which was put across, and having a separate public debt management office, which should not be the part of RBI. So is that, this is what the thought which is there in my, when I teach, which there, that's my first question. Second question is, in the quarterly report of public debt management released, the ownership pattern of the dated securities, there is also a RBI share, which is like almost, I think it is third largest among the share of the dated securities. So why the RBI is having a very high percentage of data? Because for banks it's okay because it's part of their SLR which they need to have. But why the RBI is having a very higher share in that particular share? That's also because when I read across, I find it little difficult to understand these two concepts. Why there's a separate public debt management office which is not there, which is actually a paradox for the RBI because it has to supposed to maintain stability of price, but it is also a banker to the government. So that's one thing, and this is the second thing of dated securities.
What first question, sir? Yes.
Thank you, sir. Both extremely important and very relevant questions. And because there is a little bit of insight into that, I thought I'll take the question and, the first question, should debt management be with the RBI or not? And you're right, there's a conflict of interest. What are the conflicts of interest? We perform not 2, but 3 roles. One role is that of a debt manager. So our job, that is, he talked about an internal debt management department, their job is to ensure that the government's borrowing goes on fine, which is basically financing the fiscal deficit there. The second role is that of a monetary policy thing, and our monetary policy department, which he didn't talk about, is extremely, because if you keep issuing debt and if you keep sucking out the liquidity, then the liquidity has to be managed through other, so it's at a contradiction. There's a third role, that of a regulator. The SLR balances somebody talked about, CRR balances are given by the Department of Regulation. So shouldn't these things be different? And it's an international model, like he talked about it. The Treasury in the US issues bond, the agent Trésor in France issues the bonds. It's not the central bank which does it. However, because of the fact that we do all these 3 roles, and we, at some point of time, and when the Urjit Patel committee originally came up and we came with the new liquidity management framework, they said that yes, this is the way, it should be only, we should have only one target. And the MPC said, your job is only one, and there's a Tinderbergen rule which said you should not have one, you should have one rule, one goal. We should not have multiplicity. But unfortunately, the way we look at it, and now many central banks, and if you see what happened in QE, people, I mean, you might have heard about the TARP program in the after the global financial crisis, troubled asset. What program is it, man? RP. They started buying all kinds of assets. The point is that central banks have that tremendous ability, and hence there is this balance which we are able to maintain, and for no other reason other than the fact that why fix something that ain't broke? That's the whole thing. So it's working. There haven't been significant, though conceptually you are absolutely right, practically there doesn't seem to be a difference, so we are allowing it to function, and that's the whole idea about it. What's the second question?
Holding bonds. I mean, just
Holding bonds. We have a lot of funds. It's not just, some of it is legacy. Today we don't go and buy, we are not, that's why the PD mechanism is kept. Nothing devolves on us. We have a Friday auction, nothing, we don't buy bonds from the, in the auctions, in the primary auctions we don't buy. But we manage funds. There are our own social security funds, that is our pension funds and all. We have the EPFO, we have all those funds, and they invest in government. So, but lots of our holdings, which runs into tens of thousands of crores, we have this DEA fund, Depositor Education Fund. We have the DICGC fund. These funds hold a huge amount of government securities, which if you look at it, so we don't do active management, we don't buy bonds as such.
This is just to add to what sir said. In 2020, we have purchased for this much. But since the pandemic over, that situation demanded. Now you see last 2 years, we were net sellers. Yes. And to give an example, in UK or US, almost the Bank of England holds 60% of their securities. They are the first holders. And in Japan, entire market, means it is an 8 trillion market for Japan. 55% is with Bank of Japan only.
Sairam sir, I have two questions. First is that which is the variable which RBI usually sees for keeps checking on for money demand and money demand in the economy? And second thing is that can you please give some light on the sterilization process?
Okay. There is no one data or indicator. Means it is the totality of data only we will see. Means anyone trades equity. Equity market, anyone trades. Whether you use one indicator or how you will see. You will use support, resistance, trend, 20, like that. We also see totality of data. Demand of money, we will see like I said that there are factors which are by RBI. There are factors outside RBI. We will see which factor is contributing, and we will see whether it is temporary or it is durable. Based on that, we will take action. What is your second query? Sterilization. Sterilization, that simple example I told. I can do without unsterilization nothing but suppose foreign money coming in, hitting here, means commercial banks are buying US dollars, releasing INR to the investors, whoever. So INR has into the system, reserves have come down, means INR has taken out of the system and given it, but system liquidity has come down. What we will do is that we can go into the market, and to push INR into the system, what I can do, sell or buy a bond. I will buy a bond. Yes, that only in open market operations we do. We will buy a bond, release INR. Similarly, fund USD INR goes out. INR they will give, take back USD. INR is increased. Now we will sell the bond. If we sell the bond, we will take back the INR. That's the sterilization and sterilization. Without doing that corresponding OMO operation or even FX swaps, it is an unsterilized operation. That's all. I think time is up. We'll close here. Hope there is some, means objective is achieved, means some curiosity I could see and some new things you have learned. Thanks.
Thank you, Rajshekhar sir, for a very interactive and an engaging presentation. Sir beautifully presented the Indian financial market and the RBI. covering its major operations and functions, with emphasis on the money market and its aspects and importance related to liquidity and its management. The government securities market, covering key aspects of the open market operation and the RBI's regulatory intervention in the forex market. All of this done through engaging quiz sessions to keep our minds open for learning and pondering and curiosity. I'm sure that the students would benefit from your presentation, carrying with them the deeper understanding on the importance of the regulatory functions of the Reserve Bank of India. Now, I request Oliver sir to present our token of appreciation to S.K. Rajshekhar sir. Thank you, Oliver sir. Now, for the fourth and the final special invited lecture for this national workshop, we have Shri Sundar Murthy sir, who is the Chief General Manager in charge, Department of External Investments and Operations, Reserve Bank of India. Shri Sundar Murthy is a career central banker for 31 years with RBI. He has earlier worked as a portfolio manager and dealer for nearly 8 years in the Treasury, managing exchange rate operation and fixed income portfolios. Sir's other areas of expertise within the bank include information technology, oversight of payment and settlement systems, and has worked in almost all functional areas of the RBI. He was also in a teaching role in the bank's training establishments and has undertaken many research projects during that period. Sir has a graduate degree in electronics and an MBA in finance. As a recipient of the RBI's Golden Jubilee Scholarship, he has completed his MS in finance from the George Washington University, the United States. He is also a certified associate of the Indian Institute of Bankers. His past work experience includes 2 years as a principal consultant in an IT major. Now, Sir will be speaking to us on the topic interlinkages of financial markets and the impact of global developments on Indian markets. Over to Shri Sundar Murthy sir.
Huh? Is it okay? Om Shri Sai Ram. Really honored and blessed to be here. Professor Raju, beloved Sai brothers, it's really something that I look forward to today, to be here. We shall be talking about few things, but before, if you permit, just a couple of minutes, I want to share something about a personal story, if you will. I wasn't blessed like you to be a part of the Puttaparthi campus or to study here. I have been a little late entrant into Bhagwan's fold. And one of the things which I used to, generally do is that as our brother just said, I was in a teaching role for about 6-7 years. And then in my current role, I have to, frequently make presentations to the RBI governor or, even the topmost functionaries of the government, and we have to present various ideas. And to tell you about myself, I'm an extremely shy, introverted person. At least I was 10 years ago. Now you will see me talking a lot. But I was this person, and for me to come out and speak something, come out and address people was terrifying. So I developed something, and thanks to Swami, I developed this, and I tell before each lecture such as this, I tell Swami, please take control of my tongue. Whatever I say, should be something proper, and the message which is necessary should get across. This is my general prayer. But today I am sitting in front of all of you. Each one of you is a Sai Avatara, and it makes, I wonder, to whom do I pray? Swami is here, Swami is there, Swami is everywhere. So who do I actually pray to? So let me begin my session with a, Shashtanga Pranam to all of you, because you are all Sai incarnates, and please bless me that in the next hour or so, I will give you something that you may find worth taking away. So it's a very important part. I think it's transformational, we heard a professor in the morning talk about ethics, and I'm going to talk to you about this topic, interconnectedness, basically the way, why I have talked about it, and interlinkages is what the topic talks, but interconnectedness is what I'm going to talk about, because we are, and the role which I currently perform in the Reserve Bank of India is on the financial markets. And financial markets is probably the most capitalistic activity amongst the jobs that we know. It's very individualistic. It is very, lot of it what we do is about individuals. It's a very egoistic thing. It teaches us how to make more money. It is about making money. And maybe that exercise you need to share sometime afterwards, maybe. Okay, no problem. It's about making money. Then where is it? Where am I sitting in this august institution, in this august Punya Bhumi, and talking about materialistic, capitalist activities? How is it gelling? And I want to tell you exactly that there is something deeper, and we are extremely interconnected. You see these two photos here. This photo on the left is not very clear, but can you make out what it is? It's a market screen, right? Today, earlier, if I was to do this talk 20 years ago, I would have shown you a trading pit where people are trading. Today, it happens all electronically. Rajshekhar's job is to sit in front of one of these. He doesn't have as many screens as the gentleman there, but he does this, and financial markets is there. On this is our reality, the reality of what our population does, what is a significant part of what we think, where our bread comes from, where our food comes from. So we all understand that if this gentleman wasn't doing his job properly, we would not have probably have this wonderful lunch that we had earlier today. So my question and the point I'm going to be trying to making my agenda today is to probably tell you that these two are not different, and there is a strong interlinkages. And all that we talked about ethics in the morning, it is actually true. It's not just something for us to sit in a nice ashram and talk about it. It is the most practical lesson you will learn in your lives, and you will find this as a difference. And hopefully some of you will choose to make Reserve Bank of India your career. And when you make this, you will realize that you can follow many of the principles that you learn here, the quality of life, the discipline. exactly as as it is in RBI. Okay, so what am I going to talk about today? I have three basic areas which I'll be talking about. I'm going to talk a little bit about what my department does, which is the foreign exchange reserves management. We a little bit talk about the story of globalization, something we are all very familiar with, and then we are going to be talking about a new paradigms in this global financial order. I believe that the world as we knew it has changed, and some of the economic theories that you are studying in this campus today, and you're all students of economics. If you're not student of economics, you're still sitting and reading the newspapers, you're learning about new things that are happening globally, and I'm going to somewhat tell you that this is all what you're learning may get disrupted by the time you graduate. So that's the point I'm going to kind of make. You know, there is a sheet that is being shifted. Don't get involved there. The idea is that, you know, we of course thought we will give you a glimpse of what the kind of decisions that we take on a daily basis. Put it under your, you know, whatever notebook you have. We'll let you know how you can play this. You know, one of our friends talked about a lot of clubs that you are, a lot of initiative you're talking. Profit is one of the initiatives that you're taking. You should be doing this there, you know. We will be happy to help you with real life examples of how you do this. Yes, we can make profit ethically, we can do business ethically, and I mean that's the message that sir was giving us today morning. And I want to just reiterate that none of what he said today morning is just for the academic. It's nothing. When you go out, you will face this, and you will face it you will do it much better. Will you not do it unethically? Don't people, he makes a lot of money. Yeah, they'll make a money, but am I making sustainable life? And that's there is no other way. Let me tell you, 31 years he read out, 31 years in RBI. I can tell you with great assurance that this is the reason why we follow Bhagwan's directions are not because, you know, my father told me, or because it is good and some Bhagavad Gita told me. It is because it's the most practical way of living. Let me reiterate that as many times as possible. So it's very practical, and you will make money doing this. Not even just you know, it's not just for your spiritual goodness. Your material goodness will also grow with this. Trust me on this. So this is what I'm going to be talking about. I thought I'll talk about this first thing was a rather late addition to my presentation, because I thought maybe, you know, I was very happy with the way you were answering Raj's questions, because they are technical questions. It's understanding how money is actually circulated, the role of central banking, and, you know, many of you had a very good handle on that, and kudos to your professors and the way you've been taught about this. So foreign exchange reserves is what we do. How do we get foreign exchange reserves? There is a huge busy slide here. Basically, you know what's current account and what's capital account? Somebody help me with the definitions, please. Very good. What is capital account? Very good. Are these things defined somewhere? Is there any? Somebody talked about FERA, FEMA. Is it defined anywhere? What is this and what is that? Is it defined? Do we have a definition somewhere? Yeah, it's in the balance of payments. IMF publishes this. But what is this capital and current account? It is defined. So what is it? What is it? Is there a definition of current account? You told me trade. Yes, it trades, services, invisibles, remittances. Absolutely. But what is it that, is there a definition for this? This is no telling me who am I? I am 2 hands, 2 legs. All correct. But is it me? It is not me. I mean, that's a larger spiritual question. But even then, can you define this? So this is what you've given me right now. You told me that this is this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's correct. But it's not what I'm looking for. What is capital account? Which of this is defined current account or capital account, which is defined in the BOP document. There's a BOP manual by the IMF, and that's what defines what reserves are also. But what is it that is the definition? Anybody want to take a guess?
Sir, current account deals with day-to-day transactions of an economy.
Right.
Capital account is more in terms of long term, sir.
Very good. So you know, the moment you start a definition with the current account, I know you have kind of lost it, because the ulta is defined. How is it defined? A capital account is anything, any transaction which affects the assets and liabilities of residents vis-a-vis on the external sector. So capital account is defined. Anything else that is not defined is current account. How does FEMA deal with these two accounts? The FEMA deals with these accounts in this way, that under current account, everybody knows what is current account and what is capital account. Under FEMA, current account, anything that is not prohibited is permitted. Under capital account, only that is permitted is, only that is specifically permitted is allowed. Everything else is prohibited. You know the difference? So we are completely free on current account. You can do whatever transaction unless there is a prohibition that don't do this. It's a negative list. In capital account, there is a list that you can do 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the way FEMA defines it, and that's how it's managed. So now why am I talking about all that? Which is the third part of the BOP. What is the BOP of a country? Correct, dear. Excellent. You are absolutely on the gun. But what is the amount? What is India's BOP? What is India's balance of payment? What is, okay, which country you don't know? What is Uruguay's balance of payment? The answer is all 1, 0. It's a balanced. Why? There is a current account surplus or deficit, there is a capital account surplus or deficit, and there is this third amount. When you add up everything, it comes to 0. That is the balance of payment. This item of difference which takes care of this difference between current account and capital account is what gets added to something called reserves. Is this exactly what we do? No. There is a market intervention which Rajshekhar talked about, which I am not going to go into it, but economically this is the reserves that we have. So in the last year 23-24 we had a surplus, that is reserves increased by 68 billion. So that's the extent of what we got added in the last year. So that's how we get our foreign exchange reserves. We have been growing, other than a small dip in 22-23. It's been growing. It's been nice and healthy. Today, or as on August 9th, last public figures which are available, we have a total of $670 billion, out of which this consists of foreign currency assets, gold, SDRs and IMF, which are a part of the IMF work. So this is broadly where we are. This is in rupee crores. The total value of foreign currency is 49 lakh crores. If you know the total amount of currency in everybody's note, which is currency in circulation, a figure that a word that Rajshekhar mentioned, there is about 35 lakh crores of currency with the public, which is currency in circulation. That is almost, it is entirely backed by the foreign currency assets. Correct? So these concepts you know, I'm not going to go into all this. So this is what we manage. But I'm going to ask you one question. Is this enough? Should we have more? Should we have less? Is there a cost? Yes?
Sir, it's enough, I think so.
It's enough? Yes? What will we do with this money? Sir, yeah.
Very good. He said provides a cushion. Why do we need to hold this and all? So we went in through, yeah. Uncertainty. What kind of uncertainties? Sit, no. War happens, we'll take money and push it in down. They'll love that, right? Everybody will be at war at us. No, just on the lighter note. Yes, it is on certain emergencies. We will talk about that. Yeah.
Sir, to facilitate deficit,
Deficit. Which deficit?
trade deficit.
Trade deficit. Okay. How will we fund the trade deficit? You're right, but I mean, I would like some more specific answers in this.
To meet import bills.
Import bills, exactly. Trade deficit is correct, but what you are actually talking is that it's okay in case I cannot export at all. I need to import. Why do I need to import? Let me not import it. I am Atmanirbhar, right? Why I should import? Sorry. What is it that we import? Oil. So we need oil. We need oil because our economy runs on oil. We are an oil-driven economy. We're going to be talking about these things. So is this enough? There are some metrics for doing this. There are 4 metrics which I have put up. That is not just 4. There are multiple. One of them is the foreign exchange to the external debt. How much should it be as a percentage? And this is the blue lines, dark blue lines. How much should it be of that? Is the foreign exchange, this is the 100 on the y-axis this side, close to 100. So at least all my debt. So somebody is very confident what happens when my foreign exchange reserves are low but my foreign borrowings are higher. Then you feel that can this guy pay back his money or not? I mean, it is like it is our personal account, only it is in foreign currency. Similarly, there is a FER to GDP. This is a more like, there's a thumb rule. It's not actual, but it's more like 20% is a good level to be at FER. You said that debt is fine, but what is the debt you need? Some of my debt is 30-year debt. Do I need to pay that back? At least I should be able to pay back my immediate needs. That I have some requirements. So it's a question of asking how much should my bank balance be? The bank balance should be equal to, should allow for managing short-term things. And finally, the import coverage, and this is in months. Currently, we are at around 11 months of import, which means that no export happens. Absolutely no. We are not even looking at trade balance, not trade deficit. We are talking about imports. For 11 months, we can happily live without any income at all, and we can manage. So that's the measure. It does drop. Now, these reserves, why we started holding all this money? Is there a cost to that? There is a cost to that, right? This is resources, and Rajshekhar explained that we buy from that means we are giving out rupees to buy dollars. So we are buying this and we are holding it. So there is a cost to this. But there is a reason why this happened, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history of what happened. In 1870s, the international gold standard was adopted, which means that this currency note which you have, you could very basic question. Why is a 100 rupee note worth 100 rupees? Yeah, maybe I should have a 100 rupee note. Let's do this. I'm doing this because this is very basic. Why is this 100 rupees 100 rupees? 100 rupee worth of gold? Very good. Not potatoes? Right? Why we would need to back it? Very good, very good answer. Why do we need? Yes, absolutely. You can give him a round of applause. Why do we need it? Why do we need it to back it? What does this promissory note says? are promised to pay them, and the governor has signed it. So what is he paying? The 100 rupees I am already having, what you are going to pay me? So so what is basically saying that there is going to be some value behind this which I am going to pay, and what he very correctly said, there are certain things which are acceptable. Which means that you and I should agree that whatever is backing this, whatever the RBI is saying, and this is fiat money, this is money that is backed nothing but a fiat, and that's the problem with cryptocurrencies and bitcoins, and that's a whole different debate. But we are saying that this, you come to RBI and we will give you an asset where you and I, both of us will agree that this is the value of this, and that it has to be backed with some physical asset. And the assets which he said is defined in RBI Act, and we make it public. The section 33 of the RBI Act says that this currency should be backed with gold, foreign currency asset, rupee securities, and coins. We say that rupee coins, and all this should be the backing for this. So, but we did not get here overnight. We got here through this journey. The journey was like this. Rajshekhar showed you what the journey was in India, where we also had a peg, but then we slowly discarded it, and in 1993 we went to a market-linked rate. So the globe also went through this. Largely, you would realize that this is all dictated by the world wars. World War I and World War II happened. US emerged slowly as the preeminent economy in the world. They continued to do this, and hence today there is a dollarized world that happens. In 1971, Richard Nixon was the president of United States, and one fine day he said, I discard the linkage of dollars to gold. Earlier, what was the Bretton Woods system? The Bretton Woods system said that the US will maintain that, and so all the gold which was in in many countries was deposited in the US, the Fort Knox, big single repository of gold, and the US said that we will back all the currency that we issue only by gold. You will realize what is the problem in that. That can I back all my currency with gold? What will happen? If I say you can come to RBI and take 100 rupees worth of gold from my counters, I will very soon run out of all the gold, right? All the Tanga Maligas and all will first be there to take the gold from me. So it is not possible because it's a mineral asset. So hence we said foreign currency assets, anything that you will accept as well as I accept. And hence this economy came in, and we were very happy. Last 20 to 30 years, so 1971, US said, dollar, the gold peg is away, and then we started looking at at a new system which had floating exchange rates. What happened in this area? Let me talk about a period between 1989 till 2022. Why 2022? 2022 COVID happened. So 2020 happened. 2020 to 22 was a kind of a shut period for the entire world. So 1989, what happened? None of you were born, so it's okay you don't know. But what happened in 1989? You have any idea? I have written it here. There is the Soviet Union collapsed. The Brandenburg Gate, as it was in Berlin, got broken, and the communist part of the world collapsed. And finally, or at least it was a talk that other than China, that the world is a capitalist society, that capitalism works. Why? Because we are all interested in our own self-worth. We all want paisa, dabbu. So we all are, capitalistic, and that's the one that incentivizes productivity. And that, for about 30 years, between 1990 to 2020, we had a lovely new world order where capital used to come from the West and technological developments used to come from the West to the developing world, and developing world used to supply. What were we supplying for the 30 years?
Labor.
Labor, people, right? All our IT companies and all were booming because we had people. We had different kinds of people from China, but what happened at that period of time? India received about 127 billion. I mean, it's possibly difficult for you to see this screen. The overall ASEAN region, the Asian region, received $1.4 trillion from the Western world. Money was coming in. They didn't have places where they could invest. They were investing in this part of the world. We didn't have the technologies. We didn't have the things, so money was coming in. Also, what happened is that, sorry. Oh, thank you. Also, what happened is that there was this. The money was coming in, and we decided what happened is that two kind of money came in, as Rajshekhar told. Investments, foreign direct investments, we were happy because it was stable, but also foreign portfolio investments started to come out. And in 1998 there was a Asian financial crisis, that the currencies of the Asian tigers, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, there was a run on their currency because portfolio investments started to go out. So hence, when you have a problem, you start to you started to store money. So all countries started to build on reserves. So today, China has 3 trillion, Japan has 2 trillion, we have close to 676 billion. So money started to go. Where is all this money going? Your 670 billion is where? Where is it kept? I said no, we have 670 billion. Where is it kept?
Central bank.
Central banks. Which central banks? What are we doing with the money? You got the answer, right? What are we backing our currency with?
Forex.
Foreign currency assets. It's not foreign exchange, foreign currency assets. So you told me this answer. It's not you told me we are buying treasuries, we are buying bonds, all the categories that Rajshekhar showed, we are buying it. What are we doing? We are, who is borrowing this? Treasury is issued by who? You told all these answers earlier today. So we are buying the debt of the US government. We are buying the debt of the German government. So our reserves are there, so we are keeping their interest rates low. You imagine, we are investing 670 billion, somebody is investing 3 trillion, so China is having a trade surplus, but he is putting all that money back in US, which is keeping their interest rate low. Correct? This was a nice global order. Because of this, we had great development. It is estimated by World Bank that after 1990, close to 1.5 billion people were lifted out of extreme poverty, because capital aa gaya, we already had the labor, this is what was required, and so there was a huge development. Wars, as we knew them, were all over. There were no major conflicts. Yes, 1991 was the Iraq war, but major wars were largely less. And over a period of time, with the US withdrawing from Afghanistan, we thought all wars are over. Everybody is becoming richer. Acha chal raha hai. Everything is good. But things have changed. What did they change? Things have changed because after Ukraine, lot of questions have been asked, and there are 8 themes. I'm not going to be talking about them. I'm going to be talking about just 1 or 2 and jumping to what is our takeaway and what is India's effect of all these things. The point I'm trying to get at is that the Russian-Ukraine conflict did 2 things which were unprecedented. Russia used to supply over 60% of the gas requirements of Europe, being an advanced economy, Russia was doing this, and there was a disruption, right? They went into Ukraine, never, we thought that violent annexation, Saddam Hussein tried it, but we thought Saddam Hussein is a madcap, so he will not do it. Turns out there are, we keep generating them always, and so we generated one more called Putin, and he went into a country that is nearby. So we thought that this is a problem that we don't have to deal with, like certain diseases, but it kind of came back. And two things really happened. People started to realize that what is it, there's such a huge disruption. What did the West do as soon as this was happened? They imposed sanctions. What sanctions? Financial sanctions. They said that the money of of Russia, whichever is held abroad, will be held by us. It will not be taken. They will not be allowed to use it. They froze SWIFT, which is the mode of exchange. They froze all that, and they said that we will cripple you economically. 2 years after the war, is Russia crippled? Why not? And this is the point. I want to stop here for a second and tell you that there is something that economically is shifting. And why not? Why did Russia not get crippled?
Income from oil.
Oil. Who was buying this oil?
India.
Amongst others, right? Why did India, or why did the government say we are buying oil? If I can paraphrase your answer, yes, it was cheaper, but each country started to say, the country's economic interests are more important than larger posturing. So they said that in case you stopped oil from flowing, and today it was at $70 per barrel, and it was to go to 120 if you didn't give me, I want to take care of the interests of my population, which is so a lot of things started happening, and we started seeing something called friendshoring. This is a term not used by us, by Janet Yellen, the Secretary of the Treasury. Friendshoring. What does it mean? That I find friends. Not only earlier what used to happen, if there was an economic crisis, only IMF and World Bank could bail us out. It was the Bretton Woods system. But now we said that Bretton Woods is on the side of a certain part of the thing. Can we ourselves form a group? And we are seeing that increasingly, that can I try to protect my economic interests in a way that is not affected by global politics. And that's the thing that we are trying to get at, that what has happened is that the world, which was highly globalized, nice balance between advanced or developed countries and the emerging market or developing countries, is now broken somewhat. Today we are having great degree of linkages, or that entire globalization is being questioned in some way. The monetary policy, which is my next slide, has become extremely synchronized. Why has it become synchronized? If one country is to raise rates, and these bars, I'm not sure how much you can see them, but most countries, when US raises interest rates in 2022, most countries raise their rates. Why was that? Because why do you raise interest rates?
For inflow.
Inflation, right? To combat inflation. What are the causes of inflation? Food prices, energy prices are big components of this. Of course, there are other factors like, today real estate and all, but fundamentally and these are highly linked. So globally we are linked, geopolitically we are discordant. There is a disconnect that, today, I don't know. So what happens today is that, you know, many people, there are a lot of issues with China. US and China have a problem. They are having a trade dispute. Because why is there a trade dispute between US, of course, apart from the political posturing? There is a fundamental problem with this, because earlier what was the structure was that technological advances were happening in the Western countries. We were the adopters of this. So there was a IBM, US, Hewlett Packard, US, Microsoft, US. We were very everybody was very comfortable with it. They were having the intellectual properties, we were consuming it. Suddenly, okay, Tesla, US. But then there is an EV manufacturer in, when this disruptions happened, and there was a lot of, when there were a lot of WhatsApp messages and things like that, you would have seen that if I have a phone, a smartphone, it is assembled in 8 countries today. So a disruption in one place causes a systematic disruption everywhere. So we realized how closely connected we were. Today, there are at least 20 products, 20 critical things, including telecom, pharma, where more than 50% is produced in China. So whether we like it or not, whether we have political differences or not, it has become an extremely, it's extremely coherent. The supply chains are extremely connected to each other, and that's getting disrupted. There are different models that have been tried of finding out friends. How do we make, there are regional blocks, there is an European Union, where they have tried to come together and try to do things, and all with some limited amount of success. Brexit happened, US, UK left the EU, and there is an estimate that because of that, they have lost significantly as far as growth goes. So, coming together is difficult, leaving that is even more difficult. And while there are no solutions that have been formed, there is a clear distinction towards making your own group of people and trying to find out what drives it. One of the main reasons why this has happened is because you will see in 1992, all these countries put together had about only 12% of GDP. This includes South Korea, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Today, at close to 32% or 33%, if you want to have a nice round number, 1/3 of the GDP is controlled by these people. So today they are asking why should I be dependent on the West? Amongst the cities, earlier London and Hong Kong were, London and New York were the financial capitals. Today Beijing, Shanghai, Dubai, Singapore, Hong Kong and Tokyo have all caught up. There is hardly any difference between the financial capitals. So finance is freely available, GDP has grown, we have the product strength, so hence there is a huge difference. I will skip these slides. I will quickly ask you to, can you recognize these countries? On one side is a country where the total debt, public debt in US billions is about 33 billion US dollars. And here there is a country on this right, which is about $3 billion. And this is the average. This is the average. Both these are averages. Which of these, which country is which? Any guess? Left and right. Japan and? Which is Japan? Left is Japan, then? Right? Okay, one more clue. That, okay, because this could depend on the relative size of the country, right? They're both the same countries. So let us look at relative debt to GDP. On one hand, we have a country which is about 120% of GDP. This will clarify whether it is Japan. Another that is at 82. Very good. US and India, a round of applause for our friend here. They're difficult to find out. At 82% at debt to GDP, and the debt to GDP in the US, extremely over-leveraged countries, the Western countries. I'm not going to talk about technology. So let me quickly go into de-dollarization, and I will conclude with this thought that India imports palm oil from Indonesia. Yes, it does. So how do we pay Indonesia? Right, I'm starting with this topic itself. What is de-dollarization? So if Indonesia has a currency called the rupiah, correct? We have a currency which is called the rupee. And there is a transaction trade happening between Indonesia and India, and we pay in US dollars. Is US government or US, the state of US anywhere has there any connection with this transaction? No. Then why do we do this? Dollar is it stable? But you're right. It is acceptable. One of the slides which Rajshekhar talked about, trust. Do I trust? No other country, no other currency was being trusted because of all these historical reasons. But now we are starting to see some change there. And that's the point I'm trying to make, that there is a discussion. I'm not saying we are there yet because there's no alternative right now. De-dollarization is happening. And there we have a rule that can my INR be used internationally? Should I be transacting, when I am doing a transaction with Indonesia, shouldn't I be, what's my problem with Indonesia? I don't know the exchange rate. Is it stable? Is it a good thing? And I'm trying to get into a place where can I make my INR acceptable to him, and can I accept the rupiah and in a case where there is some other thing and I'm not able to use my US dollars, can both of us transact it? And there are tremendous benefits. There is a quick settlement time, there are lesser costs. But the ecosystem right now has not been built. There is no trust in the system. So we, in the RBI, are working towards building such trusts bilaterally on certain countries where we share some kind of thought process. So we have had a MOU which we have signed with UAE because they supply a lot of our oil. We've had one with Indonesia. And this is one of the key things that's changing in the world around us, and we will see more of this happen. We are trying to solve the problem, but is the problem worse than the solution? We don't know. I don't know, at least. So I leave you with these thoughts of Napoleon, that maybe we take so much precautions, and we are trying to look at a world, and it's just right now just a boogie. It's not even a real threat. And with that, generally I wanted to just submit to you that possibly the 30-year world where we were seeing a largely unipolar world dominated by the US dollars and by some advanced countries, and all the developing countries, nodding their head to that and possibly following their practices as the best practices being questioned today. And possibly we are looking at a global order where you all will inherit the world, where we will be leaders in our own right, and we as a country will be able to provide certain leadership, and it requires people like you to start thinking about different. Definitely will not happen during my lifetime in the bank, which is another 4 or 5 years, but there will be a change that happens in your lifetimes, and that's the simple thought I want to use with you. Thank you very much. I guess there are no questions. Oh, sir. Maybe you need to give sir a mic.
de-dollarization is definitely a trend which we are seeing, at least in discussion. The last time somebody attempted it was Saddam Hussein, when oil trades were denominated in, and we know what happened to that country. So there will be some kind of political reaction from the country which is going to be affected, which will, again affect geopolitics a lot. So how successful will de-dollarization be in that context? That's my first question. Second is, we did attempt this with Russia, but it didn't work out because the surplus of Russia has such an extraordinary trade surplus with us because of their oil exports. So we couldn't really execute it. So in this last 1 year, how has India been settling their dues with Russia? I mean, because SWIFT was banned. So, I mean, is it okay to ask? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I will answer to the best of what I can answer from this this podium. But the point you make fundamentally is absolutely right, and I don't think, and many political and economists have talked about it. It is never a unilateral thing that today I say that tomorrow I don't want a currency. And we looked at it. We have looked at a BRICS currency. We have looked at a multipolar currency. And, frankly, the euro was launched in 1999. Has it been, it's had a set of problems. I mean, they have been possibly more robust than they would have been with different currencies. But it's not that there is a magic bullet that is going to fix it. And it can never be unilateral in this process. And we realize that. I mean, there is no alternative. Yes, we may all crib that the dollar has its exorbitant privilege, but some US politicians, including one of the top contenders in this presidential election, actually says that it should not be. Why should dollar be used outside the country? I mean, so even they are not politically sure whether it is a good thing that they are having or it's a bad thing. So the jury is out on that. Having said that, so what do we do and what's our process in this? And we've looked at it in great detail, and that's why we say that let us build an ecosystem where this is possible. Like INR today, do we want to remove all capital controls and make it? No. We know that it's a process. There are the checks and balances have been put there for a purpose. We don't want capital flight out of our country. So we need to go through this process. Similarly, let us look at certain things, that why can an exporter in India today, can he invoice in INR? Similarly, is there a possibility of it? Now, some settlements which have happened, say you talked about Russia and all, are an economic solution that has been tried to find for a political thing, because as you very correctly point out, sir, is that there's a huge trade imbalance between the two countries, so it won't work because at some point of time the surpluses are going to accrue at one end or the other, whichever place. And there are countries where we have huge trade surpluses. It won't work. It works best when there's a trade balance. For example, with the UAE, generally on the current account we have a balance. Like, though we are an oil importer, our remittances from them are huge. So they send in a lot of remittances and we send back so there is some balance there. So maybe it will work. Is it working now? We've seen that uptick, and we are working on an index which will try to measure how well INR is acceptable. So the current thought process is, let us enable an ecosystem by which tomorrow, if it makes business sense, people will start to use it automatically. Like we've seen with digital payments, for a long period of time we had this NEFT and all, it was never taking off. But at one point of time, the people said, when they started using it, today there is no holding it back. Cash has seen its decline. So the point is, let's work on this ecosystem. But I'm not saying that as I said, it's not even going to happen in my career in the bank, possibly. But will these youngsters see a different world? I think so, because it's not just India or RBI, when we discuss this across the global partners, many people start to question this. And once you start questioning it, then the system generally tends to, the human mind is so powerful that there's some solutions that possibly are found. So maybe we will see a change, sir. But you're absolutely right. Today we are not in a position to talk about, we have to talk about it, but we are not doing so much that it continues to be a dollar-led world.
Sir,
Yeah.
whenever the topic of de-dollarization comes, then this thing of BRICS currency, that comes into the picture. So can you tell whatever the possible challenges, what currently we are not able to grow much in that aspect in having the BRICS plus currency. If we could actually have a BRICS plus currency where BRICS plus some countries of some representation of Europe as well as North and South America, so it will be easier for us.
Yeah, so that is what Sir also asked. Now, with that RICS itself, with the R fellow person itself, we have a huge imbalance. The larger imbalance is with the C person, correct? You have a huge deficit with these people, and then currencies. Will the stability happen? So creating a currency is not, as you know, many wannabes came and went, and one of the strong contenders was the crypto ecosystem. The fact is that the currency, with it comes the trust, and once the trust goes, it's very difficult to create anything. So hence, yeah, we are looking at all that, and there could be, but basically, at least Europe, they are contiguous countries. There was a lot of commonalities. Yes, many of them have different languages, but there was a lot of commonalities, at least in the amongst the countries of Western Europe. So they attempted something with the Maastricht Treaty and so on, but their example alone is showing how a common kind of currency works. Now we are talking about a BRICS currency which exists in addition to all these things. There was a nice thing which is more academic thing. It is 5 Rs. All the 5 countries, the original BRICS countries, now it is expanded to include other people, but the original BRICS countries, all the currencies now names start with R. The renminbi, rupee, ruble, rand. So all of them are so there was a 5R currency that was not. It's good as a concept, but practically will it work? I'm not. While we do continue to work on such things, but I don't see it a very significant thing because of these imbalances which Sir just now flagged. You have to have some balance. We have to have a level playing field, or one guy dominating. Are we ready for that? I'm sorry, we don't know. Sir.
Sir, this is a very general question.
You ask the tough ones.
Yes. No, sir. Sir, it's not that I want to a disclaimer that it's not that that the RBI people are here, and I want to ask this because we have been studying in our when we study these generally undergraduate, postgraduate, we have something called as financial institutions and markets. I always feel that, we are very proud of RBI because, the way RBI has been making policies, we look from 1980s across. And maybe here and there regarding, some bit of hiccups in the terms of reserve funds and all where, during the terms from Raghuram Rajan to Urjit Patel, some here and there where the, there was a issues of between the government and the RBI. But still, RBI stood up with their independent monetary policies and how it is governing the country's growth and other aspects. So how that RBI, it's for years like this, maintaining this kind of credibility in their policy making. What makes the RBI so strong in terms of whatever at least my association from in this institution, we can see from 2000 where we saw many RBI people who come here and what makes RBI like that, whatever? That's my question, sir.
Swami. I think so, because, there is no answer. The fact is that we have been led by extremely great people, And I will tell you for a fact, sir, I mean, I'm not answering you as a question. I'm talking about a very personal thing. Not one day does any boss tell me, don't write a note like this, do a thing that favors X, Y, Z. I'm never pressurized, and 31 years I'm talking about. Today, Rajshekhar is a youngster who has joined the bank maybe 20 years after I have. You can ask him, he will and he does debate me on every theoretical point. Yes, when there is a decision making that happens, I will overrule him. There's no question. I am a bully in my own right, but it's not. It's an ecosystem that has developed, so we protect it very fiercely. Our culture is very fierce. We are extremely proud people about, that's why I told the boys here that please attempt, some of you come to RBI, you will find that you can do your work without compromising on any ethics which sirs have taught you here. You will be able to work there because we carry that same thing which Bhagwan teaches us. You do your job and you do it honestly to that date. And it's an ecosystem. It's not individuals. Yes, there are great Sai devotees in RBI, but they are not it's everybody becomes like everybody here. You will see this, and let me sorry sir, let me take this. Boys, I will tell you one thing. When you go out, I have related this story to all your seniors. I am going to relate this to you also. Tumko sunna hi padega. The thing is this, that when you go out of being with the Sai fold, there is something that is there inherently, and you have become a better person. And you can recognize this talent a mile away. You can notice that this person, and it doesn't matter whether he is 15 years old or whether he is 55 years old. He carries with himself that beautiful way of dealing with people. They will be humble. They will be extremely well prepared and very educated, but they will express themselves in the softest words. There will be only love. And these are things which are ingrained only at your age. At my age, it's very difficult me to teach this old dog any new tricks. But they come about, and what sir was asking, I feel very strongly about it. This is a skill that you will carry through your life. So, you are in a great place thanks to His divine grace. And I think all of you will do extremely well. Pick up on that, and some of you do. I hope to see some of you trying for the RBI and trying to work with us. You will not find it at any dissonance with what you have learned and what you've studied here. So that's the thing, sir. I don't have an answer to that, but I feel that pride when I enter the RBI portal. Everybody, you get the respect across the globe, and it's something that we strongly and you will relate to it more than anything else. We strongly relate to that factor, sir.
Actually, you finished, I think one of the speakers who have finished at 3:29, sir. I was just telling that is what the time sense you had, that you finished your talk at 3:29. It is like, and you are so humble to even express whatever you are saying. Thank you, sir.
I mean, just an honor, sir. I am humbled to be here, seriously.
Thank you, Sundarmurthy sir, for a very interactive and a insightful presentation on how global developments and events can impact or even disrupt the country's financial system. Sir wonderfully and briefly explained on such effects by first explaining how foreign exchange reserves are generated, then the history of the international monetary system, then how the evolution of globalization and its benefit, majorly from India's perspective, and the slow decline in the belief in the globalized functioning of the economies into deglobalization and even de-dollarization, including majorly the geopolitical events, and also how the RBI and our financial system as a whole reacts or responds to such shortcomings. This talk has truly made the students aware about the surroundings and made us ponder upon how a robust yet stable financial system can react and respond to such surroundings. Now, I request Sanjay Sani sir to present a token of appreciation to Sundar Murthy sir. Thank you, Sanjay Sani sir. Now, we will have the student presentations where 4 students from the Department of Economics will be presenting on topics relating to the trends and issues surrounding the Indian financial system. I request the brothers whose names will be called out to come and present in the following order which will be mentioned now. Moing Hang Limbu of 3rd BA Honours in Economics will be presenting on the growth of fintech post demonetization. This will be followed by Murali Krishna of 3rd BA Honours in Economics, who will be presenting on the sovereign green bonds. The third presenter, Norsang Tamang of 1st MA Economics, the third presenter will be Pranav Chandra of 3rd BSc Honours in Economics, who will be presenting on the Markowitz Modern Portfolio Theory. And finally, Norsang Tamang of 1st MA Economics, who will be presenting on the overvaluation in Indian stock markets. Over to the brothers.
Om Sri Sai Ram. I offer my humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Distinguished guest speakers, respected faculty members, and my dear brothers. Today, loving Sai Ram to one and all. Today, I'm going to talk about the evolution of fintech in India post demonetization. So, this will be the scheme of our presentation. Firstly, I will explain about the fintech, what does fintech really means, and it will be followed by the evolution of fintech in India, and the reasons for the growth of fintech in India, and the challenges and the way forward. So what does fintech really means? Fintech is the combination of financial services with the technology. Fintech is any technology that enables the consumer to provide financial transactions digitally. The main aim of fintech is to provide financial services to the broader population, including the underserved communities and the individuals with limited banking facilities. So, as you all know, in India there are so many fintech companies like Paytm, PhonePe, Grow, Angel One, and so on and so forth. So now I would like to talk about the evolution of fintech or the growth of fintech in India. So India has seen a phenomenal growth in fintech sector over the past few years. High penetration of internet and smartphone plays a major role in this evolution. According to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, 46% of the world's digital transaction takes place in India as of 2024. Financial transactions and services, they play a very important role in any modern economy, and India is not an exception. especially because of the emergence of fintech, it has been possible to provide financial services to millions of underserved communities in our country. From fruit vendors to big businesses of our country, all of them, they use fintech to settle their daily transactions. Now, but the real story of fintech, it started in 2016 with the demonetization of 500 and 1,000 currency in India. So, and then, but I'm not denying the fact that even prior to 2016, there were still a good number of fintech companies in India, but with demonetization, various new players, they entered the fintech landscape. As you all know, India initially was a cash-dominant economy, because of which majority of population, they were reluctant in using the digital modes of payments and the transactions. And it's also because of the fact that in some of the rural areas, because of lack of awareness, the people, they believed that digital transaction is risky and that they'll be scammed through it. So they didn't, it prevented them from using digital transactions. So, but however, shortly, because of this demonetization, people realized that keeping cash with them was not safer. So they realized that digital transactions provided convenience, flexibility, as well as safety to the people. So the emergence of UPI, or Unified Payment Interface, in 2016, which provided a scalable payment platform, further revolutionized the country's fintech sector. So what started as simple digital modes of transaction, it soon grew into a full-fledged sector in the economy. Digital lending, digital insurance, online KYC, and banks with no any physical branches, and various other fintech services, it grew up within a period of less than 5 years. Also, it's because of the government's push to make India a cashless and digital economy that the fintech sector has been able to flourish in India. So the fintech industry was valued at $50 billion in 2021 and is expected to reach $150 billion by the year 2025. Currently, there are more than 6,000 fintech startups that are being set up in India, which provides wide variety of services across the country. The average adoption rate of fintech is around 64%, and the India's adoption rate is around 87%, making it the third largest fintech ecosystem in the world. The power of the fintech sector can be understood from the fact that even the traditional banks, which is more or less averse to changes, are now being forced to adopt digital technologies to keep itself afloat. And there are now several traditional banks which are going partnerships with the fintech startups to stay ahead of the competition. So now we can better understand this growth of fintech with the help of this graph. So on horizontal axis, we have the financial year, and in vertical axis, we have the volume of transactions in crores. So you can see in 2016 to 17, because of demonetization, the fintech sector, it gained momentum with 1,004 crores. And till financial year 2020 to 21, it increased at a consistent rate. And then this graph, it shows a very steep growth because of the COVID-19 in 2021. Because during COVID-19, everybody of us who wanted to make contactless transactions to avoid COVID-19. So at that time, you can see the volume of transaction was 8,839 crores, and till date, it's increasing at a very good pace. So now, what are the reasons for the successful growth of fintech in India? So there are various reasons that are responsible for the success of fintech in India. But the main important one is the affinity of Indians with the smartphone and internet. According to the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India's report, there are more than 954 million internet subscriber as of March 2024. So this helps in the growth of fintech to great extent. So India is now youngest country in the world, and this India's new generation doesn't have time or patience to deal with the traditional banking system, which often moves at a very slower pace. So also that the generation, they want everything that can be everything to be delivered quickly in their smartphone. So the fintech industry was very quick to realize this, and they tapped into this huge unexplored market, and they got success in it. Recently, because of the emergence or because of the booming of this e-commerce, they also helped in the growth of fintech to great extent. And as we all might have heard that the present government is trying to transform India into a cashless economy. So because of this, government now they're providing various schemes and initiatives to help in the growth of fintech sector, such as the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Aadhaar, and Unified Payment Interface. So now, the fintech sector in India also faces some of the challenges in India. So let's look at the challenges. So the first one being the regulatory hurdles. With the evolving laws and regulations in areas such as cryptocurrency, data security, and privacy, it creates a lot of compliance among the fintech companies. And because of lack of financial literacy or awareness among the consumers and MSMEs, it also prevents them from the adoption and understanding of fintech. So the platform downlines, the downtime issues which the consumer often faces, it can negatively impact the consumer's confidence, and also it can affect the overall reliability of the consumers towards the fintech sector. So now, what are the way forwards? So regulatory clarity and collaborations. So the government can develop clear regulations, and they can also encourage the collaboration between the fintech sectors, fintech companies, and regulatory bodies to foster the innovation, as well as bringing about the collaboration between the two. So they can also promote the financial education and and awareness among the underserved communities or underserved areas, which will help in the growth of fintech to great extent. The fintech industry can also invest in the advanced security measures that can help to address the data security concerns of the customers, and also that it can help them to build the user confidence in digital transactions. So now targeting niche markets. So the expansion of fintech sector should be focused on underserved markets such as MSMEs and rural population. So this helps in the expansion of fintech in large scale throughout the country. So now in conclusion, I would like to tell that India's fintech sector has been expanding at a very good rate, and India is leading with forefronts, with hundreds of startups being established every year. And India, with its evolving fintech companies and user adaptability, is going to be a fintech hotspot. Things are just beginning, and there are many more new innovations and changes that are coming, which will make India a leading economy in fintech sector. Thank you, Sairam.
Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Mother Sai. Respected HOD sir, esteemed elders, and my dear brothers, a loving Sai Ram to one and all. Imagine yourself in a situation where your father has given you everything, name, fame, wealth, money, but left you with poor quality of air to breathe and contaminated water to drink. Will you be still able to enjoy whatever your father has given to you? No, right? So, it is not only important for us to give our next generations a luxurious life, but also a sustainable one. And my dear brothers, here I am presenting today one of such instruments which promotes sustainability. Sovereign green bonds, financing a sustainable future. And this is going to be the scheme of my presentation. Now, before moving forward, let me introduce you a term called climate financing. Climate financing is essentially refers to accumulation of funds through various sources and directing those funds towards those projects which could help for the mitigation and adaptation of climate change. And my topic, sovereign green bonds, is a narrower aspect of this topic called climate financing. What is green bonds now? Green bonds is essentially a debt instrument issued by the government. Here it is important to note that when I say the government, it includes the RBI. Green bonds are a debt instrument issued by the government to finance environment projects. These are typically issued at a lower interest rates. Now, how the sovereign green bonds are different from the normal sovereign bonds? Well, when the government issues a sovereign bond, it does not need to tell the investor where his money is going to be invested in. But a government issues the green bonds, the money is going to be definitely invested in those projects which could help to reduce the greenhouse gases emission such as renewable energy, wastewater management, solid waste management, etc. So, the eco-conscious investor would feel satisfactory that his money is going to be invested on some environmental cause. The significance of these sovereign green bonds lies in the fact that India's call for life for sustainable development, and its 5-goal proposal in the 26th conference of parties meet, which was held in the Glasgow in the year 2021. These 5 goals, namely Panchamrit, are related to the sustainable development, and sovereign green bonds are going to play a significant role in financing all these 5 goals. And also, it helps to attract the private investment. Those investors who are willing to invest on sustainable projects which yield them long-term benefits would be turned towards this sovereign green bonds. And it appeals to those investors who prioritize environmental, social, and governance while investing. In this way, it creates a new asset class altogether. When the government issues a sovereign bond, the finance ministry proposes the bonds through its green financing working committee, and all the recognition of all the projects from various ministries like Ministry of Environment and Forest, Ministry of Surface Transportation, Ministry of Jal Shakti, all this information has to be gathered and to submitted to the RBI to issue the bonds. So, it enhances a greater collaboration and coordination among the ministries. When you are talking about the history of the sovereign green bonds, in 2008, the first green bond has been issued by the World Bank. In 2014, International Financial Institutions Working Group has been convened by the World Bank to coordinate among themselves about the impact reporting and the principles for issuing sovereign green bonds. In 2015, first World Bank impact report has been released. In 2018, $500 billion cumulative bond issuance has been done by the World Bank. In 2021, the combined impact report on green and sustainable development bonds has been released by the World Bank. In 2024, fifth impact report on sustainable development bonds and green bonds has been released by the World Bank. Now coming to India, although this is not related to these green bonds, but it coincides with the first green bond issuance by the World Bank. In 2008, National Action Plan on Climate Change has been launched by the Government of India with 8 missions. To name a few, National Mission National Solar Mission, National Water Mission, National Mission for Green India, etc. In 2015, Yes Bank issued the first green infrastructure bond. In 2022, which marks a significant event in the history of Indian green bonds, India brought out a framework in accordance with the guidelines of International Capital Market Association. On Jan 25th, 2023, the first sovereign green bond has been issued by the government of India with a worth of 8,000 crore rupees. Again, on February 9th, 2023, the second sovereign green bond has been issued by the government of India with again the 8,000 crore rupees of worth. When you talk about the positive sides of the green bonds, one point which would get struck to everybody's mind is that it contributes to the sustainability. But there is also another benefit. It strengthens the currency. Let me tell you how. When the RBI issues the bonds, it issues in the local currency, and this predominantly attracts the domestic investors, and the money would get accumulated with the RBI treasury. This accumulated funds would reflect that the confidence and the faith that the investors have in the local currency, thus it strengthens the currency by stabilizing it. As I have said before, the sovereign green bonds are issued at a lower rate. So why the investor has to still buy the sovereign green bonds even if it is giving at a lower interest rate? There is a behavioral pattern called greenium. Greenium means that the investor would be satisfied with whatsoever the interest rate is because he feels that his money is going to be invested on some good cause. So of course it is a win for the government, as the government could garner more funds with less interest rate. Talking about the other side of the coin, it might happen that many investors may not have proper knowledge about the principles and the benefits of the sovereign green bonds. So there might be a low turn up towards the green financing. This particularly happens in the developing countries, and due to the lack of standardized selection procedure, capital investors which have limited resources are demotivated. And because there is no globally agreed framework on the distinction between what is a sovereign green bond and what is a normal bond, concerns have been raised against the legitimacy and the credibility of these sovereign green bonds. And here are some few numbers and facts which tell about the impact of sovereign green bonds have created in the past few decades. 27.3 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent greenhouse gases emission has been avoided, reduced annually. 27.5 million people benefited from green bonds projects. Under the category of solid waste management, 3.3 million tons of waste prevented, minimized, reused or recycled annually. Under the category of clean transportation, 202 kilometers of rail tracks, BRT, public transport, pedestrian walkways constructed or rehabilitated. And here is a classic case study which shows how the sovereign green bonds could effectively garner those funds for a good environment cause. The Rewa Ultra Mega Solar Power Plant in Madhya Pradesh, India. Situated in the district of Rewa in the state of Madhya Pradesh, spreading across 1,600 acres of land with a capacity of 750 megawatts. It is one of the world's largest photovoltaic power plant, and the government of Madhya Pradesh, along with the help of World Bank, International Finance Corporation, has garnered $437 million of funds to scaling up the project, and now the project is serving more than 60% of electricity demand for Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. Not only that, more than 1 ton greenhouse gases emission has been expected to reduce by this project, which strengthens the India's commitment towards the sustainable development. In conclusion, I'd like to tell that although it is a good way of financing the environmental projects, there are still more challenges and responsibilities over the governments and organizations to issue these sovereign green bonds. Transparency while issuing the bonds, generating awareness among the investors, like how the green bonds are, what are the principles of green bonds and how the green bonds are going to benefit the society, and improving risk mitigation like political risk, inflationary risk and exchange rate risks, generating domestic capital, adherence to the international standards to gain the faith and confidence of the investors are most key factors in driving the future of green bonds. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my humble pranams at Bhagavan's Divine Lotus Feet. Distinguished speakers, HOD of the Economics Department, and other faculty, my dear brothers, Sai Ram to one and all. I am really grateful and honored to be here as a speaker in front of you all today. So, yeah, today I'm going to be talking to you about how you can use mathematics and use something called mean variance optimization to optimize your portfolio in the financial markets, using something called the Markowitz portfolio theory, which was introduced by Professor Harry Markowitz in the year 1952, which went on to win the Nobel Prize in the year 1990. Yeah. So these are the contents of my slide. First, I'll go through the motivation as to why, methodology, that is how. Then we'll look at the math behind it. Then we'll apply it to the National Stock Exchange. I've picked a few stocks to show to illustrate how I can do it. Then we have limitations as to where the theory fails and what we can't do with it. And yeah, so yeah. So why? Why did Professor Markowitz come up with this theory and why was it required? So everybody has heard this old adage that goes, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So before Professor Markowitz introduced this theory, it was just common sense that if you had, say, $100 or 100 rupees, you shouldn't put all your money in just one asset, because what if things go wrong, right? So this theory or this adage was not really quantified or formalized. So this is where Professor Markowitz's theory comes in, where he quantified risk and return, and then formalized the theory and gave it to us today. So how did he do it? So here we have to talk about something called the risk-return trade-off. So which basically says, if you want more return, you need to take more risk. So how did Professor Markowitz quantify risk? So he relied on two key factors in his theory. One is the mean returns of your asset, and the other one being the variance of standard deviation of your asset. He said risk is akin to variance of the returns, and then return is the mean of your asset. So here is Professor Markowitz, who just passed away recently in 2023. Yeah. So let's get a glimpse of the mathematics behind the theory. So yeah, here as you can see, R sub P is the column vector with all the expected return rates for each of my n assets in my portfolio. Keep in mind that these need not be stocks, they can be any asset class. So then we have the expected value for each of those stocks there in E of RP, that column vector. Then we have a row vector which gives you the weighting of each stocks as to what percentage of your money should you put in each asset. And then you have the covariance matrix capital sigma there. So that is how Professor Markowitz defined his expected returns, that is R sub W, and the variance of his stock, variance of his portfolio. So what do we want out of this process? We want something called the feasible portfolio set, which is basically the set of all points which is optimal and where you can properly illustrate and do your risk return trade-off. So how do we optimize this? So we have to minimize half of the variance with respect to two constraints. The first one being that your portfolio return should be equal to your expected return, with and the second one being that all of your weights must sum to 1. So it turns out that this is a nonlinear programming problem, and it can be solved using numerical methods. So in my further slides, I've used a method called sequential least squares programming in my application of this method to the National Stock Exchange. So yeah, before moving further, I would like to define one more metric that I'm going to judge my portfolio with. So it's called the Sharpe ratio. So Sharpe ratio was again introduced by one of Professor Markowitz's colleagues, that is William Sharpe, who also went on to win the Nobel Prize with Professor Markowitz. So it basically, you can interpret in the expected return of your asset with respect to risk-free rate per unit of volatility. So what does this mean? As you keep taking more and more risk per unit, how much return are you getting in exchange? So this parabola, the points on this parabola are the feasible portfolio set points. So the green points, there are two kinds of points here. One is the green and one is the red points, right? So if you see the red points, they're all suboptimal, because for the same level of volatility or risk you're taking, you can actually get higher returns. Whereas the green ones, whereas the next case, which is the vertex of the parabola, you see that you have minimized your risk and maximized your return. And the green points are also optimal, but they're not minimal risk, and you can get more returns as and when you keep taking more and more risk. So yeah, let's go ahead and stop talking about the theory, and let's start talking about the application of this theory in the National Stock Exchange and how it holds up. So here you see, I have written code in Python to simulate 10,000 randomly weighted stock portfolios sector-wise, and I've plotted each of these portfolios' risk and return on this scatter plot here. And then you can see there's a color map, with the darkest of the blue color being a very low Sharpe ratio at around 0.8, and the orangish green portfolio color being a Sharpe ratio of 2.2. So you can see that you can see the very obvious shape of a parabola there. And then you can see two more things. One is at the vertex, it's been labeled with a blue star. That happens to be the minimum risk portfolio. And then you can see another portfolio which is marked with a red star. That happens to be the portfolio with the maximum Sharpe ratio. Now you might be wondering, what are those percentages that I put on the side? So that happens to be the weighting of your portfolio for each stock to get the minimum risk, maximum return portfolio. Right? See, this is the previous one was for FMCG. Now this is for financial services. This is for oil, gas, and fuel consumables. And this is for the information technology sector. So yeah, moving on. I'm pretty sure we all know, this theory is not in use anymore, and the only reason I'm presenting it to you today is to illustrate how this entire field of portfolio management or mathematical finance came about. So why did this theory fail, and what can it not do? So it turns out the first and one of the most important drawbacks is that the past doesn't always predict the future. It basically means to construct its hypotheses and results, the modern portfolio theory uses past data, which fails when it comes to things like black swan events. Say you took data before COVID, and you invested with the respective weights that the data told you, and then COVID hit, suddenly it's gone. There's nothing you can really do about it, because our data didn't account for any unprecedented or unpredictable events. And one more thing is that it heavily relies on these statistical measures like mean, variance, and covariance. So one more thing is that it's a single period model. That means it doesn't take into account changing data with changing time. It's just for a single period. And then one more key assumption is that Professor Markowitz assumed that the returns are always normally distributed. So let's see how this works. So here, as you can clearly see, the returns are not really normally distributed. The graph in the orange is the returns density plot for HDFC Bank. And then the blue graph is actually a fitted normal distribution, and you see that the returns are nowhere near close to the fitted normal distribution, which violates one of the key assumptions of the theory. So what now? So ever since the advent of this theory, ever since this theory has been made, a lot of theories have come forward. This theory, mind you, this theory was given in 1952, so a lot has happened since then. So next, we have something called the Black Litterman model, which was again given in the 60s. So it accounted for one more thing that modern portfolio theory did not account for, which was investor opinion on whether the market was bullish or bearish. Then people have developed mean variance optimization with more constraints that we already had. We had just 2 constraints. They considered constraints for things like taxation and liquidity. Then we have the advent of a new field called behavioral finance in the 80s, which took into account investor psychology. Then we have something called risk parity, which came up in the 2000s, which instead of allocating weights in terms of money or in terms of capital to stocks, it gives risk weighting to each stock, which leads to better predictions and outcomes. So, yeah. So, if you have any queries, please feel free to ask, or my email is there for the code I achieved it through. Please feel free to. Thank you.
Om Shri Saram, offering my humble pranams at Swami's Divine Lotus feet. Distinguished guest speakers, respected professors, and my dear brothers, a loving Saram to one and all. So this is Norsang Tamu, and I'm from First MA Economics, and I'll be presenting on the topic overvaluation in the stock market. Now this is the scheme of the presentation. First I'll be giving the background for the topic, and then the concept of overvaluation. What does it really mean? After that, I'll be speaking on the key indicators, which helps us to know if a certain stock is overvalued or not. And then a behavioral aspect, that is market exuberance and narrative building, which has been the major cause in Indian market to see a rise in the prices of stocks. And then the impact, if there is overvaluation, what could be the impact, and the conclusion. So if we go back to the era of 1920s, we see that the era was very exuberant. That means the economy was prospering, mainly confined to US and Europe. The economy was prospering, there was cultural prosperity as well, and at the same time, we see industrial growth as well. So in that era, there lived one famous investor, also known as the father of value investing. His name was Benjamin Graham. And at that time, he was grappling with a problem, that is how to invest in a bullish market where prices are increasing rapidly. So he came up with one technique, that was to buy the most undervalued stock and short sell the most overvalued stock. So he thought that that technique would work. But later he got to know that he was not able to differentiate between overvalued and undervalued stocks, and he was not able to make that technique work. Now, if we see a same trend is seen in the Indian stock market as well. On July 4th, we saw the BSE Sensex hit 80,000 points mark, and it has remained elevated since. At the same time, if we talk about the market capitalization, here I'm taking BSE as the market proxy. So the market capitalization was increased by 16%, and currently it stands around 450 crores. So at the same time, we see other indicators as well, which points that Indian stock market is overvalued. Now, these are the two key messages that I want everyone to take from this presentation. First is pricing anomaly. So here we talk about the irrationality of the consumer. That is, demand is not always equal to supply. That's why we see the market value and the intrinsic value of a bond differs. And this is the behavioral aspect, or we can consider it to be price, or we can say just mispricing of the stocks. And the second message would be market facts have greater impact on the stock prices movements than we realize. Now, here we can refer to the American, a famous American investment consultant named Charles D. Elias. So he did his study and he published that in his book, Institutional Investing. There he got to know that the
2/3 change in the stock prices was driven by sectoral changes. I mean sectoral factors. Sectoral factors refer to the external factors, that is the condition of the market, market sentiments, enthusiasm of the investors, etc. And 1/3 change in the share prices was mainly because of the characteristics, that is fundamentals of the company. So here we see that the market has a greater impact in changing the prices of the Indian or of the share. Now the concept of over-evaluation, what does it mean? So like I said, theoretically, stock prices should reflect its intrinsic value. This happens when markets clear, that is when demand is equal to supply. But this is not what we see exactly, right? There is something called irrationality as well. Not always demand of the stocks or shares should be equal to that of the supply. So prices do deviate, and we see if there is inefficiency in the market, if there is irrationality, we see that there can be some deviation, that is market value can be greater than that of intrinsic value, and that's the case of overvaluation. And if intrinsic value is intrinsic value is greater than market value, then it's undervaluation. Now key indicators, some key indicators we can see, economists and financial analysts, they take the help of these indicators to know if a certain share or a stock is overvalued or not. First is Buffett indicator. So it was named after Warren Buffett. It is nothing but the ratio between the total stock market value, that is market capitalization, and the size of the economy, that is gross domestic product. So it shows the value of stock market in terms of GDP. If market capitalization or the growth of market capitalization is greater compared to the GDP, then we can say it is overvalued. And the norm is 90%. So if the value is greater than 90%, we can say the stock market is overvalued. Now the second indicator is the PE ratio, that is the ratio between the current share price and the earnings per share. So it shows how much you can give to earn a certain amount of money. For example, if the value is 23, that means if you want to earn 1 rupees, you have to invest 23 rupees. So that is what it is representing. After that, we have PEG, that is nothing but the ratio between the price earning ratio divided by the percentage growth in annual earnings per share. So if the value of this is greater than 1, that means it is overvalued with respect to the growth prospects of the company. If it's lesser than 1, then it is undervalued, and if it's equal to 1, then it is fairly valued. Now the earnings yield is basically the opposite of price earning ratio. It shows how much you can earn from a certain investment. So basically it is return on investment. So higher the value of earnings yield, we can say the stocks are undervalued. Now the last one is price book ratio. It is nothing but the ratio between the market price per share divided by book value per share. So if it's greater than 1, then it is considered that the stock or a share is overvalued. Now if we see the Buffett indicator, so 2 key indicators I have highlighted which shows that Indian markets are overvalued. So if you see the first 2 trends, the dips, one was because of the global financial crisis, the market capitalization fell down, the growth fell down, and another is because of the COVID-19. We saw 2 major dips. Now if you see the pre-COVID era, we see mostly the value of the Buffett indicator was lesser than 1. And the historical average was around 0.89%. But after COVID, we saw at the current stage, it is around 1.4%. So it is greater than the norm of 90%. And if we convert it to percent, it would be 140. That is 140% of the GDP. So definitely this shows that Indian market is overvalued, but this is not something which is unique to India. Even in international markets, we see a rising level of this indicator. So the other indicator that I have highlighted is the price earning ratio. So here there are 3 curves. One represents the BSE Sensex, overall Sensex, and then BSE mid cap and small cap. One thing to observe is that more of overvaluation is seen in terms of mid caps and small caps. If we check the current value for overall Sensex, it is around 24%, that is greater than the norm of 23. And for small cap it is 37%, and for mid cap it is around 32%. So all of these show that Indian share markets are overvalued. Now, what can be the cause, right? So the major driver of why this increase in the price is seen in the Indian economy is because of market exuberance and narrative building. So this refers to the phenomena where investors are enthusiastic. They feel like there is positivity in the environment, that is, market sentiments are positive. They feel if a certain company in a certain sector is doing good, refers to the whole sector doing good. So markets are only focusing towards the winners who are doing good, and they are thinking that the other companies, if a certain company is doing good, they feel like the other companies are also doing good. So in that case, we see some positive sentiments which is driving the investments in the Indian economy. Now, two prime examples of this. First, I have highlighted the defense stocks, 7 major defense stocks. And if you see the rightmost graph, we see that this represents the combined, and the dark blue represents the revenue change, and the purple represents the profit change. So these two represents the fundamentals of the company, whereas the red one represents the market capitalization change. So if we look at the total, this two, revenue change and profit change, is much lesser compared to that of market capital change. So here the investors are not looking at the fundamentals. They are just going by the market. And what we see here is that the stock valuation is much greater compared to that of the fundamentals. Now, if you see the first stock, that is Mishra Dhatu Nigam, actually the profit is negative, so it's not growing, but still the market capitalization is being increased, and this is mainly because of the market exuberance. And another example could be the railway stocks as well. So the 5 major stocks we can see. So the total is also same for this one as well. Same trend can be seen. That is, the fundamentals, which is revenue change and profit change, is much lesser compared to that of the market capital change. And here, like I said, the investors are not focusing on the fundamentals, but they are much more relied on the sentiments in the market. Now, one research paper that I have referred to, which shows this mispricing and price anomaly which exists in the Indian economy. So if we see the first column, it has 20 toply traded shares in the BSE, and these, data was taken from 2009 to 2019. And the second column represents the risk premium. So the whole research was based on CAPA model, that is capital asset pricing model. And here we see expected return is generated using that model, and actual return is what the actual return was. So here we see that if expected return is higher than that of actual return, then we can consider the stock to be, if expected return is greater than that of actual return, then the stock is considered to be overvalued, and it's vice versa for the other case. So here, out of 20, around 13 stocks shares are overvalued, and around 7 stocks are undervalued. So this is just to show that price anomaly exists. That is, not always the intrinsic value or the market value represents the intrinsic value. Sometimes, or most of the times, it deviates because of the irrationality of the consumers. Now, what can be the major impacts in the Indian economy? So first thing is that we have to know that overvaluation precedes bubble formation. We can see it in the history as well. We can go back to global financial crisis or dot-com bubble, etc. So what precedes these bubbles are overvaluation. And what can we see from here is that if there is some unforeseen events like COVID-19 or Russia-Ukraine war, it may lead to the bursting of this bubble. And if it gets burst, huge corrections happen in the market. If the market is overvalued, correction means the values of stocks will decrease. And in such a case, investors will lose a lot of amount of money. And financial sector indicators in India are pointing that households are, moving towards these shares instead of being confined to the traditional means of depositing in the bank. So in such a case, investors have this risk of losing a lot of money. And at the same time, even strong stocks can suffer. For example, Wipro, which suffered a lot because of the dot-com bubble. Once it burst, it nearly took Wipro to get back to its level. It nearly took 20 years for Wipro to get back to its original level. So these are certain impacts. Now, in conclusion, I would like to highlight the wisdom, which is timeless wisdom, which was given by Peter Lynch, which says, confusing the price with the story is the biggest mistake an investor can make. So instead of focusing, as an investor, instead of focusing on the market sentiments, the changes in the price, one should focus on the fundamentals. That is, what are the growth prospects, what the company is earning, right? What are the products and services that certain companies are producing. So these fundamentals should be checked instead of looking at the prices so as to make sound investment. So this is where the concept of due diligence comes into picture, where one is analyzing the market fundamentals, but market fundamentals instead of looking at the market sentiments. So this brings an end to my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, dear brothers, for the engaging and insightful presentations. The topics chosen for the presentations can be attributed to several key factors that highlight the relevance, importance, dynamism, and the diverse perspectives that we get in the Indian financial system. Now, to appreciate the dedication and the hard work put in by the brothers and the way they were able to execute the presentation, from which we got a lot of insights, we will now be handing over the certificates of appreciation to the student presenters. I request Sundarmurthy sir to please come over to the stage and hand over the certificates to the students. I request the students, as I call out your names, to please come and collect the certificates.
I would like to appreciate it. It was really high quality presentation. I was just thinking, if I knew that this was the quality, we should have stepped up our game as well, to really challenge ourselves. Extremely good presentations. Very
Moving Hang Limbu of 3rd BA Honours in Economics. Murli Krishna of 3rd BA Honours in Economics. Pranav Chandra of 3rd BSc Honours in Economics. And Norsang Tamang of 1st MA Economics. Thank you, Sundarmurthy sir. This workshop has truly enriched us in many aspects. It has made us understand the dynamism that the Indian financial system shows and its rapid growth over the recent years. At the same time, it has also given us another important perspective about the pros and cons of such a rapid growth, highlighting the challenges and shortcomings in the future. Nevertheless, This has also made us appreciate the role played by the RBI as the apex and also the key regulatory body in ensuring a robust but a sustained development for our nation's financial system, garnering appreciation and plaudits around the world. Now, to conclude today's one-day national workshop on Indian financial system, I request Brother Sai Swaroop of 2nd MA Economics to propose the vote of thanks, after which we will offer Mangalarti to Bhagwan. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Sairam, I deem it my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for today's workshop session. I first express our deepest gratitude to all the guest speakers of the day, Venkat Bhargav sir, Professor Sanjay Sahni sir, Raj Shekhar sir, and Sundar Murthy sir, for taking time out of their busy schedule and enlightening us with the knowledge as to how the financial system works and what role does RBI plays and how the world is interconnected in financial systems. I extend my gratitude to the HOD and Dean of Student Welfare, Dr. G. Raghavendra Raju sir, and all the faculty of Department of Humanities and Social Sciences for their efforts in organizing and arranging this event for all of us. We thank all the student brothers, Brother Muing Hang Limbu, Brother Murli Krishna, Brother Pranav Chandra, and Brother Norsang Tamang for their wonderful and insightful presentations. I then thank the various self-reliance departments, namely the card room for the wonderful art they have crafted, the maintenance and multimedia for the audio and visual support, and all the students who work tirelessly behind the scenes. I also take this opportunity to express our collective gratitude to Professor Vishwanath Pandit sir, the founding father of our department. Last but not the least, I finally express my deepest gratitude to our revered founder chancellor, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba, for his constant grace and guidance. We shall now conclude this workshop session with Mangalarti.
जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आपद बांधवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे मात पिता गुरुदैवमु मरियंतयु नीवे स्वामी मरियंतयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्र शयना ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल आरती अंदुको मंदर गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा ओम शांति शांति शांतिः समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति 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 जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।
Sairam, I request everyone assembled here to please have tea and snacks before leaving the venue. Sairam.